It's freaking Saturday morning, baby.
The classic Saturday morning pod that everyone knows and loves that comes to us for.
The sort of thing that a more professional pod would just keep a secret and pretend that it was happening. Like when the pods come out, do you think people think that it's happening in real time, kind of? Because they do. They definitely think that we're their friends, which is already...
That's already a stretch. I think it's probably like maybe the younger... fans of the pod, like in the way that like kids think that when you turn on the TV. There's like a little play happening inside of the box. Like maybe we do have some particularly, dumb listeners who just think, oh, when I download the podcast, they come into my phone.
Look, I don't want to ruin anything, but I think this is on record now for the fastest that we've said the title of the song.
Shit. It's a third rail of a word a little bit.
Yeah, I mean...
That's tough. Oh, let's just cruise on through. Unless that should be the point where we start the episode and we're already...
Yeah, I think you should have already played the song by now at this point.
Okay, cool. So that's happened. No, we do. I think we do sort of spoil the magic a little too much in our attempt to be so radically transparent with people.
Yeah, and that's really a big philosophical question. Is like, would you rather us be completely honest, and then you just have to go through life knowing that nothing is really as good as you ever thought it was, and everyone kind of is disappointing and a letdown, or would you rather us perpetuate this make-believe world where,
the pod is live? Is that the make-believe?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I do think that the pod is probably at its best when we're able to sort of respond to things. Like I feel like the Thursday night into the Friday morning pod is like often when it's at its best.
Yeah.
And what is so exciting about this run of episodes, as already discussed last week, and by that I mean a day ago, is that we are so far in the future and in the past. Like we're basically into the Back to the Future 2 era of this podcast now, where we're just sort of like commenting consistently on top of something that's happened already.
Yeah, I never expected AOC to endorse Ron Paul. This is crazy.
I know that was truly shocking. But I mean, they do share, obviously non-interventionist foreign policy views, and so sometimes you find that it's horseshoe theory, right? So
yeah, right.
It turns out that Neera Tanden and the sort of radical centrists of America were right, and the progressive left is actually fascism. So good to have that all cleared up now and out in the open.
And of course, we are speaking directly ripped from the headlines of the news, so that's why.
Yes. Yeah, that's why it's important to acknowledge that. So Josiah, it's earlier even where you are. Like, so you've got creaky, sexy morning breath.
It's fucking 6 a.m. right now.
It's 6 a.m. I always forget about the 6-hour time difference between us.
I was actually pleased because we've been talking so much lately about how you're the old, wise, mature one. And
we don't talk about that. You just constantly call me old man.
It sounds like you woke up around noon today. Mm-hmm. You're not are you?
I'm a teen sleeper.
God. I think I hate you, actually, because you just seems like you can just sleep at any time for however long or short you want and just always be the same.
It's my superpower, truly.
So you sleep in on the weekend? That's good. That's good to know.
I like that last week we covered our teeth brushing habits, and this week it's our weekend sleep habits. Oh yeah, man.
Oh yeah. How's your breath, by the way, right now?
Well, I'm having coffee, so it's definitely probably a little tainted in that sense. You same. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to do one of the many methods we learned about last week in all of those videos that you showed me. I'm a teen sleeper. I love to sleep in. What about you?
Yeah, I love to sleep in, although like as I get older, I can't. I just like wake up still. What I would call early, but I'm saying like 9:30 or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, oh, it's so early.
No, I feel like if I wake up before 10, I'm like, this is a curse. Like, this is not the way that God has intended me to live.
Yeah, but then sometimes I find myself, like, if I accidentally wake up at like 8 on a Saturday, then at the end of the day, I'll be like, wow, what a delightful day we had. That was so long.
You get so much done. You see so much sunlight, especially, where we live in the world. Like, the sun sets right now at like around 5 p.m., right? And so if you wake up at noon, you're getting like, and then, you know, by wake up, I mean like lay in bed and look at Twitter for an hour and still not see the sun.
Right. I mean, I do. Yeah, that's one thing I miss about being a heavy problem drinker is sleeping in until like 1 p.m. and then just sort of like laying in bed until you can order dinner. It's like kind of, that's the classic Saturday move.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, I at least had a bit, I drank and I watched a bit of a show. I won't say what kind of show, called Dating Around. Have you watched Dating Around, Josiah?
You can say what kind of show it is.
We're already there. Okay, look,
we're already deep into the episode's almost over at this point.
So it's a Netflix show. I can finally say the name of it.
The song is called Netflix, right?
That's definitely like the bad meme about this song, right? Like, oh, if they wrote it today, it would absolutely be about Netflix.
I've got something on that in a second, actually.
Okay, good. I'm so excited.
I haven't watched Dating Around. I haven't really enjoyed anything on Netflix for a very long time, including Russian Doll.
Yeah. I mean, somehow that doesn't surprise me because that just feels like it would be your take. And it's necessary for me to point out that I think Ashley shares your opinion. She was like, this show is kind of annoying and stupid. And I was
there
like,
was this one part,
great, so.
Everyone was like fucking cumming their brains out over how good it was. And then we put on the first episode and there was this one part where she's like, you know, fish have memories, right? And I'm like, nah, turn it off. We're not watching this fucking TV show. I'm not watching a TV show where they just say that out of the blue.
It's a pretty good Natasha Lyonne. It felt like she was here. Actually, we should put that in the. So if you're listening to this episode, we fooled you. It is not actually featuring Natasha Lyonne, although that will be in the title, absolutely, because of the quality of that impression. No, Dating Around is the new Netflix like dating reality show. And
okay,
it's sort of like the Terrace House of dating shows. Like it's just like very kind of slow and zen-like, and kind of like high maintenance in the sense that it's mostly just like New York is very much a character.
Oh, baby.
It's very exciting. I think you might, because you guys like Terrace House, right?
Oh my God, I'm a huge Terrace House head. We watch it on like a website called newasiantv.ch so that we don't have to wait for them to come to Netflix. We like watch like homemade subtitles because we need to know what happens next. Because it's always like, you took my pillow. And then they end on a cliffhanger and you're like, who took the fucking pillow? I need to know.
You couldn't possibly wait. Yeah. So that's an exciting TV show. I love that we can say the word so much now.
I know. It felt like a curse word for 30 seconds until you said it, to be honest.
It was. Did I say it in the first minute? Like it was.
Yeah, it was. Because whenever I hit record on GarageBand, it's always showing like the beats instead of the time. But always inevitably, I switch it at one point, and I switched there, and I was like, oh wow, 38 seconds or something.
I think we should start, like, you know how when any TV show like runs for an extremely long period of time, they eventually start getting into like sort of experimental formats for one-off episodes. And, you know, I'm thinking of a show that I love that I'm positive that you hated, which is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So, right. You know, there was like, I mean, a totally silent episode.
Yeah, there was a musical
episode, right? And I think that we should do an episode where, in homage to the fact that there's a click track that counts in before you start recording, which we've discussed on other episodes that I hear, that we should actually do a whole episode like to a beat, like just like actually have the click track going the whole time.
What would happen if I turn on the metronome? There's a good chance my recording is about to crash, but I'm still going to try it, I think.
It's definitely worth it.
Okay, let's hear what happens.
Okay. No, nothing. Oh, that's disappointing. I can't hear it anyway.
So I guess okay. I gotta stop recording in order to turn it on, and I think that might be a little bit too much effort.
Yeah, no, now that's too much. But okay, so that's our promise to you. Is I think as we enter, the second half of the podcast, and as we sort of run out of just ideas and jokes to make, I think we'll have to start doing we'll do a 3D episode. We should probably do a scratch and sniff episode.
We're just gonna start having.
Style.
The idea is we're gonna start having some fun with it.
Finally, thank fucking God. So TV by the band Blink-182 is a song that we're talking about.
Wait, I have so much housekeeping.
Do you actually?
What could I possibly have housekeeping on? The new episode's been out for like 12 hours or something.
Yeah, but that means like you've somehow been online for 72 hours talking about it, and like who knows what's happened.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm out here looking for a Monster Energy drink sponsorship now. Like, you know, things are moving quickly in the Blink-155 world. So what's your take on this song, Josiah?
Actually, my new thing is I like to derail you when you ask me that for some reason, even though I don't have a take. But instead of starting with that, why don't we start with
you dude? This is before just a little fuck off. Yeah, fine. Just like don't let me have any a semblance of like
my
exercising
world.
Control over.
This is me.
Yeah,
you're in my house now.
Sorry.
Well, look what happens when you're in charge. You say the title of the song immediately.
It turns out I cannot be trusted at all.
What was your TV watching habits like as a kid?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I fucking watched a lot of television, man. Like came home from school and I watched like 2 hours of television and then like, eat dinner and then probably watch more television. And then like as soon
what were you watching?
I feel like I was big into like whatever the fuck CBC was rerunning. So I always think of like getting home and watching like both sort of like I think Street Sense and Jono-Vision, which we've talked about, which are like a children's like Consumer Reports show. Effectively, is what Street Sense was, and it was like incredible.
Like that show felt like it was almost like Adbustersy or like activism, but it was in reality it was literally just like framing. Can I speak to your manager in the terms of like consumer activism?
Yeah, exactly. But they, there was like really great hosts. I mean, like, Jonathan Torrens was one of the hosts who like non-Canadians will know as J-Rock from Trailer Park Boys. Like members of Picnic Face, which is like a great like sketch troupe from Canada. And it was
they were on Street Sense? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, like at least one of the guys is on. What's his name? Andrew Bush or whatever, right? I think that's his name. The guy who's on Cavendish, which is relevant to this episode. Right. So I should get his name right. But yeah, he was on Street Sense and he was in Picnic Face.
Damn.
I know, right? So anyway, that Jono-Vision, which Jonathan Torrens, who was on Street Sense, which like they would do things where they'd like test products to tell you if they were fit for the pit. So if something was like advertised in one way but was actually like full of shit, they'd be like, this fucking baseball glove, I don't know, is fit for the pit, and then they like lower it down into this pit, and it was a way of really a way of like teaching children to be media literate.
Or to be wasteful, maybe.
Right, just throw it all your toys.
If your products are not 100% perfect, they're garbage.
Right. It was like early Marie Kondo. And then Jonathan Torrens, who was a host on Street Sense, he got like a talk show, like a teen talk show called Jono-Vision. And they'd talk about teen issues like of which bands in Etobicoke were the best. And
dude, Jono-Vision was like literally an integral part of the Abbotsford punk scene because this forum where we all met and basically where I learned how to write because I was being such a shithead on this forum. I'm not going to name it because it's still online and I don't want people to look it up. But it was run by my friend Stu, who was also, it was like half a music forum and then half like the Jono Nation, he called it. And it was like, but he sort of was using like the Obey Giant sort of methodology to approach Jono-Vision. So it was like basically a cult dedicated to Jono. And then at one point, he was in this band called Outcast Individuals that I'm sure a lot of people in Vancouver know everyone who was in it. They were like kind of like a ska pop punk band. But when Jono-Vision came to Vancouver, we all went to 2 tapings. Like the whole Abbotsford punk scene drove out to Vancouver. And I think Outcast Individuals were supposed to play, but it was like playing to a pre-taped. You had to play to a pre-taped song, and they only had like a shitty cassette demo, and so the CBC people were like, "No, you're not. We're not going to play a cassette over the over the thing."
Sorry, guys. Well, yeah, because they had this thing called John Palooza, which was like a battle of the bands, and so they
yeah, right. That's what I went to. But either way, Stu did get interviewed about, and you can find this on YouTube. He got interviewed about the Jono Nation. So I was once a proud member of the Jono Nation, and shout out to Stu. Shout out to Abbotsford.
I feel like that's like once a member, always a proud member of the Jono Nation. Like
exactly.
I consider myself, despite not knowing what you're talking about, a spiritual member of the Jono Nation.
Absolutely. Well, I remember meeting Jono at one of those tapings, and I was like, "Yo, this is so funny." But what's her name? Sue Johansson, the Sunday Night Sex Show.
Yeah,
this is like this old lady
who did this.
Do Americans
know Sue Johansson?
I don't think so, but So
OG sex god Sue Johansson.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the oldest old lady ever talking about
sex educator, like
dicks and vaginas and stuff on Sunday nights. You could watch it and giggle your brains out if you were a little kid, or perhaps learn something. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never learned anything in my life. But I remember in my high school health class, they showed us a sex education video where Sue Johansson unzips a giant fly of some jeans, and then out comes Jono in a dick costume. Like he was dressed as a dick, and then she put a giant condom over his head. So I told him that and how funny it was, and then he gave me like an 8x10 promo pic where he had drawn a dick on his own head with a Sharpie.
That's so sick.
I think I still have it somewhere. But shout out to Jono.
Shout out to Jono. So I think that those combinations, the fact that you also had a passion for them, I think is really interesting and informative. So one show was like, as much as now, fine, we look at it, and I don't think it's, can I speak to your manager sort of grooming for children?
Street sense, yeah.
I think it was much more of a like, proto Adbusters, like for us proto.
I just remember people being so angry about the chips not being full to the top, like the bag of chips. They're like, "Oh, look at all the air in here. This is capitalism at its worst."
Yeah, so like that Street Sense taught us to question capitalism. Jonovision was like, I mean, yeah, they would have these like whatever, like important conversations with people like Sue Johansson, teaching kids about how to put massive condoms on massive dicks, and then Jonovision, which like literally created a national platform for local bands. So for us, like the best band in Etobicoke was called Laughing Sam's Dice, and they ended up not winning, but everyone knew they should have won. Like Rick Campanelli, who was Rick the Temp, who was a host on Much Music at the time, told them that they should have won. So like we all knew that. And then later on, like years later, what you realize is like other people all watch this show. So friend of the pod and like, member of Sick Band Junior Battles, like when Aaron Zorgel and I started hanging out, we realized like we both, even though he grew up not in Toronto, he had like heard Laughing Sam's Dice on Jonovision and knew this song that was like the popular local punk song. Like it kind of created this like national conversation between like, not like cool indie bands, like not like what people who are in their 20s and 30s would have considered like indie music, but literally like the best bands in everyone's high school. It was such a, and so when you and I talk about like, oh, like this band, like this song, like I'm sure we're going to say it, like this reminds me of like what would have been the sickest song from the sickest local band. It's like, this was the sort of stuff that Jonovision would have.
Totally. I mean, what was on Jonovision other than bands? I don't remember. I think there was like debates or something.
Yeah, they do like panel shows and stuff where they just talk about like the issues of the day.
I feel like there was a Degrassi reunion like every second episode.
Yeah, always Degrassi reunions. I just remember like they talked about the millennium a lot. Like I think there was like how the millennium was a big deal at the time. But yeah, all I really remember is John.
You know what's great is like I feel guilty for being so Canadian sometimes, knowing that so many non-Canadians listen. But I've noticed that MXPX memes, Danny, he started like posting somewhere, I can't remember, but he talks about how like on New Year's Eve he's been watching Canadian New Year's Eve countdowns and be like, who are all these bands? What is Baroness von Sketch Show? What is all this stuff?
Yeah.
It's like so good.
But the weird thing is now Netflix keeps picking up all these CBC shows, and so like Schitt's Creek, which like no one in Canada gave a shit about because it was a CBC show.
You're allowed to say that because you've said the cuss word with the C in it.
Exactly. You could hear it. It like blew up when it was on Netflix, and now it's happening with Working Moms. Like these shows where you're like, oh, a CBC show, like I am, but then like
we just assume they're all bad because they have that CBC logo on them.
Exactly right. Although we're going to learn that that's not true in this episode, which again is important to.
Okay, so that was your TV thing.
But wait, well, I can't believe I'm going to make this other point. But the only other thing, because I said reruns and then I named two original shows, but at that time, and I guess it wouldn't have been CBC, but that was when like Simpsons reruns were constant, and CBC was rerunning Kids in the Hall, and so I feel
CBC did play some Simpsons reruns.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because it was like at my house, you could do, I think, 2 Simpsons on CBC, and then you had to either watch Friends or Jonovision, but then you'd get more Simpsons reruns on Q13, which was the Fox affiliate.
So we would get that,
Spokane.
I think Omni would play Simpsons reruns, I think. But it's interesting, like I hadn't really thought about this, but for me, I'm like, okay, that kind of explains a lot in terms of like formative sort of humor, formative like sort of dumb anti-capitalist opinions, and then like formative adoration for like TV hosts, like wanting to probably be on TV myself. Not probably. Why am I saying that? Definitely wanted to be on TV myself, and also like loving all these local bands and shit. So what about you, Josiah?
Yeah, well, it was the same thing. Like I would watch multiple Simpsons episodes, sandwiching something that I would just begrudgingly watch to pass the time. Although I did love Jonavision, but I feel like there was something else in there that I'd always have to watch, and I think it was Friends, which I didn't really like. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, for me, and I think this explains something about myself, is that probably from like as early as I can remember until maybe like grade 8, when I started saying fuck it, my parents would have strictly enforced no TV days. So like every second day,
very Christian, yeah.
Every second day we were not allowed to watch any TV or play any video games. And so instead, I would just like do creative projects the whole time. Oh, and so I think that's
I thought you
like,
were going to say you read, and I was going to be like, you fucking liar. You have this thing about you having only read 1 to 5 books in your life.
Yeah, no, I probably did do some reading, but I mostly would like draw. I was obsessed with becoming a cartoonist and doing like drawing comic strips.
Dude,
drawing Mad Magazine stuff.
Like a political cartoonist.
Political cartoonist. That would be. I think it's the ripe time for that.
Oh,
with,
dude,
with old Drumpy.
It's wild what's happening on these streets.
I think because of that, it's instilled this guilt in me. If I'm not, even if I'm working on a dumb project, I still need to always be like working on something instead of like just doing nothing and playing video games all weekend or whatever.
Yeah,
that's what I want to do, but I just have this like guilt from the no TV days where it's like, if you watch too much TV in a row, you better fucking accomplish something too.
Also do something. That seems like a really healthy balance to strike, because like TV fucking rules, but also like it can, as demonstrated by the cutting commentary of TV by Blink-182, truly I think suck up a lot of your free time and maybe impede your creative goals or your professional goals.
Well, just to finish my thought about myself, and then I promise not to talk about myself ever again on here. But I also think that it's like one of those things where when you deny yourself or when you're denied something as a kid, then as an adult, you like go deep into it, and now I just like fucking never stop watching TV. And I think it's from those no TV days, feeling like I missed certain things, and now I'm just like, I need to watch everything.
You got to catch up. But are you like, are you catching up on the TV from when you were a kid? You're like, I never really got into Perfect Strangers. I gotta see what Balky's up to.
Man, I used to like when it was harder to torrent. I remember like buying a box set of the Raccoons. And then like
shit. No,
although I watched the Raccoons as a kid too, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna get some Raccoons DVDs, and then I'm like 2 episodes in, you're like, oh yeah, this is for little kids to make them fall asleep. Although similarly quite an anti-capitalist show from Canadian TV.
Dude, Canada knew what was up. We made some good stuff. Reboot was also an insanely sick Canadian show. Like, there's like an era that is less embarrassing, and maybe we're re-entering that era again with like the success of a lot of these kind of CBC shows that we're referencing offhandedly here.
Yeah, it's weird.
Do we love the CBC? Is that?
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting a vintage-looking shirt with the CBC logo on it.
That would be so
wearing it
sick,
under a blazer.
You know what's crazy?
To the Polaris Gala.
That is the most alienating description of an incredibly specific and highly hateable type of Canadian adult.
Yeah, or like the guy who has like the CBC messenger bag.
Oh, God, yeah.
So God. Anyways, yeah. And the other thing, I guess, what I'm also leaning towards is you just mentioned the lyrics. What I think is also interesting is that this is from a time when it was always like, damn, everyone's watching TV way too much. This is so cheesy. But now, like, everyone somehow, big TV has changed the narrative to be like, TV is actually art.
Oh yeah, TV is books now. And if like the teenagers writing this song today, it would be like, everyone's looking at their screens, posting selfies on the gram.
Or the song would be like, everyone on TV is an anti-hero, and it teaches, it's Shakespearean in a way. Yeah. It reminds me of the Bard.
I mean, TV is basically the new Bard.
Which is so pretentious, too. Like, I hate that.
No, I mean, the prestige TV, because so there was, okay, Do you know about this? Because I know you're the film editor, and I understand that film and television are not the same. But they're
okay, so you're straight up putting my job on the line right now with this setup.
Yeah. So my question is like, can you explain the eras? Because it was like the golden era of TV, right? Which was like Sopranos and The Wire and shit, right?
Yeah.
And then there was like the silver. What was like when it was like Breaking Bad? That was like. Whatever.
Have people named it? I don't know.
I think there are names, and because now we're in peak TV, right? Like there's just too much fucking television.
Well, I just like straight up avoid TV writing because it's terrible, and everyone's so stupid and loves everything, and they all can't write, and they all just say the word ostensibly nonstop. So I just try to avoid it. But
are TV journalists like worse than music journalists? Do you think?
It's just a different kind of bad. Like, music journalists think that they're cool, which is terrible, but then TV journalists think that they're smart.
That's bad, too.
Yeah, it's like, it's all bad.
It's hard to know. But, okay. So this was definitely an era of, like, the TV invading the home, changing the family. No, it's not. It's like 95. This has already happened. But I guess, like, an easy...
The song is from 1958.
Yeah. TV dinners were all the rage and the destruction of the American family.
Well, that is a very punk thing also, to, like, have the TV dinner nuclear family look on your art.
Totally, yeah.
But something about this that I love is that someone like, okay, first of all, I guess we should answer, what do you think of this song generally?
I mean, like it's definitely like not a good song. However, it like instantaneously, like just the way it opens reminds me of like every song that I tried to write like with my first band. Do you know? Like,
yeah,
which is a bit of a like, oh, I remember my first beer, like diss at this song. But there's something like so grounding about like, hey, I can play the bass like this. What do you guys think? And you're like, oh my God, fuck yes. Every song has to start with you doing that bass thing.
I mean, that bass thing literally always sounds good and rules.
It completely. So like, it's empirically it is bad, but ostensibly it is good.
Yeah, I think that it's like, I just hear this song and I'm like, this is so adorable. And the vocal delivery is like,
it's so sweet, and like Tom in the background just being like, hey. It's like they're trying to write a pop song, but they don't know how to write a melody.
It almost sounds like a Buddy Holly song, like if he had just been hit with a 2x4.
Yeah, belong. This is like concussed Buddy vibes. Absolutely. Like CTA
so
damaged 50s rock and roll crooner. I mean,
but yeah, like despite all that and how stupid and like clearly on like surface level these lyrics are, this song has more genius annotations than any Blink-182 song I've ever seen. Every single line is annotated.
It's it's so funny that it jumps out like in the description, even like someone sort of contextualized it by saying it's similar to Green Day's Longview. And you're like, it's so funny to compare this to Longview, which has like stood the test of time as like, I mean, it's still one of the best Green Day songs, and also doesn't come across in the same like, oh my God, I get it, like TV is bad. Like Longview is much more of a just sort of like portrait of like, you know, lethargy, and this is just like very street sense.
Well, okay, the contributor for the TV Genius page has written, Blink wrote this song as a satire on how humans have become such mindless couch potatoes. Americans especially love watching their TV. The first thing many of us do when we get home is watch our TVs to numb us from a tiring day. And then after the Green Day point, they say the average American watches 5 hours of TV a day. Like, I didn't think that Genius existed in 1997 when I assumed this annotation was written.
Right, yeah. This was literally written by the editor of Adbusters. Like, absolutely.
Cal Lassen, you talking?
Yeah, Kelly Lassen. That guy, have you ever heard him talk?
No, but I remember reading a quote how he was like, the next step of the revolution will be a $300 coffee table book. And I was like, all right, sick. I'm listening.
This is going to be, I'm going to regret this because it 100% is probably racist in some capacity, but I never heard him talk until, and I think we've talked about this controversy previously, but when Adbusters basically like sunk itself by around like the George Bush era, which was obviously when we were all real buster heads, and they wrote an article about the control that neoconservatives had across all of the bodies of whatever, however the fuck the American political system works. So many neocons. It was when we were all talking about neocons, but then it also was pointing out the influence, and this is I guess come back in the news. The influence of the Israeli lobby. And for some reason, they specifically wanted to point out that many of these neocons were of Jewish descent. And so they published a list of all of the Congress people and senators in America and put Stars of David next to the names of all of those people. And again, I'm almost positive we've talked about this in the pod before, but the point is,
also why have we talked about that?
I don't know, man. We've talked for thousands of hours. I couldn't tell you how it's come up, but it definitely has. And I remember hearing an interview on the radio where Callie Lasson was having to defend this because it became such a controversy. And he literally was like, we just need to ask the question of why all of these neocons are the Jews. And you're like, holy shit, that's how that... I've been reading a magazine that a man who talks like that is the editor of.
Made by a mad scientist.
No joke, he talks like a mad scientist.
From Biodome. One of the people from Biodome.
Yeah. So shout out Biodome and Adbusters.
It's always shout out Biodome. Yeah. Around the clock. Back to this annotation. Speaking of comic strips, I love that they've used something from cartoonstock.com, which is just about the funniest website on the internet because it's cartoons that... Well, you're not going to know this, but it reminds me of the cartoons that you'd get on your church service handout. There'd be a cartoon that's Sunday, I guess we can't watch the football game. We're at church. And it's a guy shaking hands with the pastor. Or Coffee Times style comic strips. Yeah. So this one that they've included here from cartoonstock.com is this bald guy watching a very old TV. Again, this looks like it's from 94 or something. And on the TV it says, "Are you lower than the lowest common denominator?" That's again, man, people used to hate TV and hate how you just tune out. You're not a free thinker if you're watching TV. No,
it's I'm so glad things have changed and now TV is books.
Well, I guess it's maybe because people have more channels, so it's there is no consensus TV show.
No, which I kind of miss. I was telling you earlier, I'm trying to catch up on Game of Thrones because I just want to be able to be part of a conversation because I miss that, right?
Yeah.
Who shot JR? Josiah?
Who shot Mr. Burns?
Yeah, I know, right?
That's my one.
My parents had to explain that. They're like, this is a reference to something. And I was like, no, it's not. This is a wholly original concept.
Yeah. You don't get it.
Yeah. You don't
my family,
yeah, fine.
Because I had friends when I was a kid, even friends who weren't Christian, who weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons. But I think I've been watching The Simpsons since the very first episode my family sat down when I was 4 years old and we watched it.
It's just always been a part of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd watch it every week, but I don't know. I feel like The Simpsons is corny now, kind of.
I mean, do you mean old Simpsons or if you look
just
at it
in
now,
general, liking The Simpsons is so cliche and corny that it's almost not even worth talking about anymore.
It is. Well, it's just so. I think it was so formative for every single person that it's kind of just talking about how I don't know, drinking water is good. It's just there.
Yeah, but I think it's become cool. I think I said this even on the pod, maybe on Exclusive, so I'll say it again. But it seems like it's cool to pretend that you don't like The Simpsons, like how it's cool to say you don't like the Beatles or whatever.
Right. Yeah,
but I'll listen to Your Kickstarter Sucks, which I really do love the podcast, and Jesse has been on this show a couple times. But they'll be like, "Yeah, I've never even watched The Simpsons. It's so whatever. I just don't get it. I don't think it's that good. I think it's overrated." But then they'll do a bit that wouldn't exist without The Simpsons. Yeah. You know what I mean? Your sense of humor exists because of it. But again, it's how it's cool. It was cool when Lil Yachty said he'd never heard of Biggie.
Right, yeah. It's great, man. Let the kids separate themselves from the past. I'm totally here for it.
But anyways, let's get into these lyrics because they're hilariously quaint.
Okay. So the first verse starts with, "When I'm at work, yeah, I always rush home for lunch so I can check out what's up with the Brady Bunch."
See, my eyes were drawn to the what's it called? I'm so stupid. I'm drawing a blank. What's the noun where you capitalize it? A proper noun?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm always drawn to like the titles. So I missed the first line when I was looking at this, but I can't believe that he's at work and not in grade 9 maximum when he wrote this song. That's already upsetting for me.
Yeah, that's true. But I also feel like maybe he's writing this from the perspective, because it's a social critique. He's not writing it from his own perspective. Yeah. He's talking about all these mindless drones that he sees who are like, at their office jobs, fucking addicted to television, not going anywhere, no dreams, no creativity.
I think I actually immediately understand why people say that about The Simpsons, because as soon as like grade 8 kids learn about the word satire, then they call everything a satire, and then the term satire is just like so cringy.
Yeah. That's fair. So yeah, this is definitely someone discovering satire.
Yeah. Okay, so this person is at work, but they rush home for lunch from their job, so I hope it's not too far away. So they can check out what's up on the Brady Bunch, a show I've never watched, really.
No.
When I'm walking through the front door at night, I gotta see who's winning on The Price is Right. Oh, okay, so first of all, The Price is Right is on at lunchtime. We all know this.
That's what's so fucked. Yeah. Like, being sick and watching The Price is Right was so sick. It was the sickest part of being sick.
It's true. So maybe he was just like, fuck, Price is Right doesn't rhyme with lunch. They'll never know. They'll never notice. It'll be fine.
I don't know. Maybe this is again indicative of the fact that like Mark does not know that of which he speaks. This is sort of poor satire because it's actually not coming from a place of genuine understanding.
He's just like, it's cool to hate on TV, so let's hate on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's look at the note. Mark seems pretty obsessed with his TV shows to the point where he simply cannot miss them at all, even when it's far more logical to do this. Mind you, the Price is...
Sorry, that's like the weirdest construction for a sentence ever. Like, wait, do what? Oh, miss it. Okay,
adaptations,
what?
Are they bots who do this?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way that a human being wrote that sentence.
It would be far more logical to not miss them. But then they write, mind you, The Price is Right and The Brady Bunch were some dope 90s TV shows. No, they are absolutely not 90s TV shows in any way whatsoever.
Like, what the fuck?
Nothing 90s about them. Maybe you could have watched them in the 90s, but there's truly nothing 90s about those shows.
Yeah. And
like, even to this day, The Price is Right still looks like it's from the 70s.
Yeah, that's sort of part of the appeal. That second half really confuses me because it's like they're like, okay, I dropped the academic language on you, but here I'm going to let you know that I'm also from the street. This is dope.
Yeah. Like, all right. Both halves of this argument are like just incredibly infuriating.
This genius annotator is both book smart and street smart. So shout out Big Bad Bonge who created this note. So that's cool.
So the chorus is, I never dreamed that I'd spend my days staring at some tube emitting cathode rays. I need my TV.
Oh, yeah.
So fortunately, somebody has explained what cathode rays
What are cathode rays, Josiah?
Oh, well, let me consult this genius who has shared their genius with us. Back in the day, which is always a good way to start a sentence to show that you're smart, just reference no specific time period whatsoever.
Just the day.
Cathode ray TVs, and actually, I can't believe that I have not written down a single TV repair video. Fuck!
It's fine. It's fine, man.
Were used instead of the modern day LCD, LED, and plasma displays. But that's not the point.
Interesting rhetorical device there.
Modern society is so obsessed with their TV shows that it's leading to people wasting their lives. When Mark was young, he never thought he'd be doing something so mundane. Mind you, and this is sort of like a note within the note. It's in a different color. How do you even do that on here? Mind you, this isn't the first time Blink-182 have been disillusioned with growing up.
Well, it's a different color because it is, in fact, a hyperlink to
there we go.
Carousel, which is like not necessarily the growing up song that I think most people associate with Blink-182.
As Blink-182 once said, this is growing up. And then it links to I Miss You.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe the I Miss You they're referring to was their own youth. I miss youth.
It's important to note that there is also a photo that accompanies this note.
Right.
Which
yeah,
is,
like, where did they get these fucking photos from? They're so voyeuristic and weird. Like, this isn't a stock photo.
No, this looks like a photo of someone's actual child. So it's like a toddler sort of sitting...
watching another toddler on TV.
Yeah, just staring up at a television like it's
If anything,
their
I think
god.
this child is watching their own home videos.
Oh, that's weird. Just remembering back in the day, like being like, I was so young.
Modern society is too obsessed with our own family videos.
It's true. That's what's sort of tearing apart the fabric of our communities.
Verse 2, I think, is more for you because you watch sport. You're a big sports ball guy.
Yeah, this is huge for me. I relate to this.
I feel like this phrase has never existed in a punk song before.
Yeah. So verse 2 starts, "What's happening in this world? I don't care at all, but it better not preempt Monday Night Football."
And there's an annotation for that says, Mark may love watching TV, but it's important to note that he doesn't care for the news. He only watches for pure entertainment. The world could be going up in flames and he wouldn't care as long as the news channels don't delay primetime football's kickoff time to report on it. And then there's a picture of Monday Night Football's logo.
Sick.
And that's interesting because they just said he doesn't care about the news. And then the very next two lines are, I can't even come up with my own views. I'm taught how to think from the evening news. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he's trying to cram in. There's like two characters that he's sort of attempting to give voices to in the song, and one of them is the
He's trying to take on the entire population of TV viewers, which is just like even back then is way too much.
Yeah.
You can't do all of those people at once.
It's not like a single sort of monolithic viewing cohort. Like you need to, as advertisers on television understand, segment viewers into manageable categories that you can then target both with advertising and social critiques.
So moving on to the next part, the next
You know what this
annotation
reminds
about
me
this
of,
news
though?
part does have your... Oh, sorry,
It's
please.
important, the preempting, because this line specifically reminds me of being a kid and having SNL be preempted when Princess Diana died, and I thought this is bullshit.
I don't remember that, but yeah,
I do, because I remember when people talk about Princess Diana's death and how extremely sad it was. I just think no, I was just getting to the age where I could stay up to watch SNL, and I had to watch just a flaming hole for an hour. So the next
leave
line,
that one.
The next line,
the next annotation does sort of fit your Callie Lasson anti-Semitic views towards the news. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, I can't come up with my own views. I'm taught how to think from the evening news.
And the genius annotation says, due to biased news corporations such as MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, ABC, NBC, and CBS. I feel like Fox News probably didn't exist back then, and MSNBC definitely didn't.
Yeah.
Americans usually don't form their own opinion. They just listen whatever the talking heads on the TV is yelling at them. The only way to form a decent opinion is to research from various sources and come up with your own conclusion. These news networks try to do news networks is in quotation marks because apparently they're not news
wow.
networks.
Yeah, scare quotes.
Even if just news was in scare quotes, that would...
They're definitely networks.
There's no denying that they are networks.
Well, I guess they're not networks. I guess they're channels. Anyway,
these news networks try to do all the thinking for you and tell you what you want to hear.
This reminds me of, and again, we have probably talked about this before because it's one of my favorite punk songs of all time. Self-Made Man, who were a Canadian punk band. I actually don't remember where they were from, but they were signed to Small Man, which was the label that put out all the Monine records initially before they signed to Vagrant. Guy Smiley and Choke and
Another Joe was on there, I think, for a second. And I think they did early Comeback Kid too.
I think so, yeah, because they were before
Winnipeg. They signed to Victory.
Yeah, so they put out this band, Self-Made Band, that was a kind of sick, very hot watery type kind of post punk band, and their big hit. The first song on their record had this lyric, and again, forgive me if I've already talked about this on the pod, but it just reminds me so much of this, which is By reading the news, you can find out the way you feel for certain things. And then they just start naming things you could have an opinion about. So they go, free trade zones, protest rallies, and it like continues from there. And so I feel like this annotator would have really appreciated Self-Made Man, who encouraged you to read various sources and come up with your own opinion.
It sounds like they're telling you to become a journalist. This is a very Pageman take.
Right, yeah, this is like Pageman origins.
So then it does the chorus again with the little girl watching TV, and then for the outro, la la la.
Why is that annotated? What the fuck is this?
Don't overlook this line. Marking isn't singing. They called Mark marking.
Are they talking about Marl right now? Is this a typo? They mean Marl Hoppus, right?
Mm-hmm. Marking isn't singing this just to make the songs catchy. Well, not entirely. Mark is mocking the mindset of the mindless sheeple that watch TV all day. These simpletons hum along to a tune as simple as they are.
Whoa. And
then the sheep.
there's a photo of a sheep with a speech bubble saying, "Don't think, trust the TV news." Damn sheep.
Now what if this song was actually just completely sincerely about how much he loves TV? And then they've just read into it this much.
Right. Yeah, he's like, "No, I love Catherine Ray's." And The Price is Right is, like, again, as we pointed out, was a highlight of staying home for any reason. So yeah, maybe they're sort of applying their own, but this is a bit of the death of the author here, right? So these woke teens living in the comparative future to when the song was written, because unfortunately genius was not there for us in 1995. They're sort of ascribing their own critical take on television to Mark's loving ode to the medium.
Yeah. So I was thinking about how there's so many like punk songs about TV. Usually how it's bad, but I couldn't find a proper list when I was doing 10 minutes of research before I started talking to you. But I did find this. I don't know what this website is. ILXOR. Someone's probably going to be like, "You don't know what that is?" That's like, my whole childhood was on, like, whatever. Shut the fuck up. Don't speak to me ever, listeners. I'm just kidding.
No, I think this should be a new character for you, is like sort of like hateful, disdainful Josiah. Just
yeah. So
you're still online just as much, but you're extremely caustic.
It's angry.
Yeah.
I'm into it. I should be more angry. Anyways, so this is a list. I don't even get what this is. I guess it's a forum. It's from the mid-2000s, but it's songs about the evils of television. And there's this long list.
Including Black Flag's infamous TV part.
Right, yeah. And then the next one is such a hilarious artist. It's Beatniks, but they've changed the band. I guess their name is Beatniks, but it's like the half of the N word is the second half.
Oh.
/ Disposable Heroes of Hypocrisy. And they have a song called Television, the Drug of the Nation.
Yeah.
And then there's Joe Jackson TV Age, which I can only imagine how hard-hitting Joe Jackson, notoriously political.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Savage Joe Jackson.
Someone said, TV Party is probably Black Flag's worst song ever. That might explain the subject matter falling out of style.
I don't know. TV Party is honestly so good. Like, there's no...
Is TV Party actually confirmed anti-TV? It doesn't even seem like it to me.
Yeah, it's
so
a party.
Straightforward.
I guess you gotta assume that, like, literally no one in Black Flag likes fun. So just them doing a song called "Having a Good Time with My Friends" would be like, "Yo, this is a critique of the notion of having fun with your friends." Like, Black Flag is definitively anti-fun.
That's true, but what if they're just like, "Yo, even though we hate fun, hanging out." I mean, look at the cover art of the single. It's like, even though we hate having fun, we love hanging out and watching TV and eating chips.
That's true.
Because we're human beings, and you need a song that is just about being a human being.
It's true. Even Black Flag loves to let loose sometimes. I also think that Six Pack is about how fun drinking is. So,
anyways, I also don't think that the subject matter of everyone watches TV too much fell out of style because of Black Flag's TV Party being bad. It's probably because media has changed so drastically.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, like, You know what's actually like a positive pop punk song kind of about TV is "Nothing with You" by the Descendants, because it's like literally just about wanting to hang out with a person that you like and watch television and do nothing, and it's like so sick because you're like, yeah, that is really fun. It's like I just want to watch, dating around like with my wife. It's great.
Well, I think, I mean, more towards what I was saying of why it has gone away. I think this comment really sums it up from there. Our Vicky Car Club in 2006 said,
"Oh, wow.
People watch iPods now."
That's fucked. That's such a like insanely genius. That should be on Genius.
Yeah, that was like there was a 1 or 2 year period where you could put TV shows on your iPod with the click wheel.
Like we like the sort of like fumbling towards this like wild future that we're in right now has not been without its hilarious quirks, and that is absolutely one of them. Is the like TV enabled iPods.
Yeah, like you had to get, I think, Handbrake or some sort of Pineapple app. Like it was so recently that basically our computers haven't changed, but all that shit has changed. Yeah. I think we really take that for granted. But I remember I was an extra on a TV show in Vancouver. I think it was when I was on Kyle XY. It was this sci-fi show.
I was like, is that like some Nickelodeon like iCarly type show? But
yeah, okay. I think it was like on the CW or the WB or something. But I had just gotten my iPod and I put a full season of The Simpsons on it and just watched The Simpsons all day on this like shitty iPod and thought that I was living in the future. Oh. And I thought it was incredible that I was getting paid to watch The Simpsons approximately like 3 inches by 4 inches or whatever.
I mean, like it's interesting to think about, and I don't mean to actually get like sort of TV philosophical, nor do I want to like agree with any of these takes, because I'm positive I don't like any of these people. But it is really interesting to think about, we're like sort of fumbling through trying to describe the stupid eras that have been named around, our current kind of moment in television, which is like TV was dumber. Like it really was dumber. And I'm not saying that TV is necessarily smart now, like people who are like, The Sopranos is the Bard. But the fact that every really good show, like kind of with the exception of The Simpsons, like a lot of the shows that like we really fell in love with, the story of those shows is that they like never found an audience. It got canceled after one season, right? So like I just like recently watched like a documentary about freaks and geeks, so like that's kind of top of mind. But like kind of throughout history, there have always been these like quirky shows that have like appeared and kind of disappeared, and then maybe eventually found an audience on DVD. Maybe unfortunately so many people bought those DVDs that they brought the show back, and then it became like the worst thing on television. Like that's maybe happened, and like I feel some degree of responsibility for my purchases like playing a role. But that like it really did take the like expansion of the cable universe for TV to get good, and it does it does seem like not a reasonable critique, but as like an angsty young punk, you'd be like, the stuff that's on TV sucks, and like occasionally you get some weird thing like Twin Peaks that sort of slips past. But for the most part, if you're programming a 15-channel universe, you're just like programming the dumbest possible thing you can to try to get the most dumb people to watch. Like that is real, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like jokes aside, bad jokes aside.
So you're saying that...
I agree. I'm saying...
You're saying that... You're saying that Better Call Saul is
the Bard.
The Bard, just the Bard. There's no other better punchline than that.
That's it. Vince Gilligan, he's my Bard, bro.
I just want to be grossed out, so I'm just going to play this song that someone mentioned in the thread. It's a 21st Century Digital Boy by Bad Religion.
Yeah. Tell him, Greg. Preach.
I don't know where the chorus is. I can't handle it anymore.
I'll be honest. It's like not my favorite Bad Religion song, but
it's fucking awful. And I feel like it was on the radio.
That was like I think that's like the Bad Religion mainstream hit.
'Cause I'm a
21st century digital boy.
That's their most Biff Naked sounding song.
Yeah, and that's why it's actually okay. So it's actually good. But it's funny because I do think like we grew up in this era where like that universe was expanding, right? And so we had all these like really cool shows like that we've named already that like found an audience. We had reruns of like some of those good shows too, right?
Well, the other problem that I think is actually a valid thing that not enough people talk about is that it's not necessarily good that there's tons of good shows and that we're just like subservient to watching all of these things all the time and they're all good. Like that's actually pretty bad.
No, and if anything, maybe it's worse now, because I would love to know what I'm sure they've done the study, but like what has the average time watching television dramatically increased? Because like my fucking feed is just full of like full-voiced recommendations from people I trust of like things that are going to take me 40 hours to finish, right?
Yeah.
Like I there are definitely TV shows now that we talked about Russian Doll. Like there are things that I end up sort of falling into and liking, but like for the last while I've tried to avoid getting into TV shows because I'm like I don't want to commit that much time to something. Like it's
and they're all good. Like
they're all pretty good.
Yeah, that's even worse because, not only is it like they're all pretty good and so then they all start to feel the same, but also no wonder like none of us actually we're living in the Matrix, man.
Yeah, but I mean this sincerely because like I do spend a lot of time like watching television, and at the same time, I like feel like I know people who like are up to date on 30 different shows. And like, how do you do it? Because I watch a lot of TV and I like cannot possibly keep up to date on like Westworld and True Detective and Game of Thrones and Insecure. And like, I don't understand how people do it. It literally stresses me out. I've talked to Ashley about this. Like, this is like a real like contemporary sort of disease. Like this malaise of this moment is like, I can't pick a thing to watch without like going through like a 20-minute cycle of like massive existential dread, because I'm like, if I start this season of, The Man in the High Castle, I'm going to have to finish it. And that's, 10 hours of my life where I could have like read a book, wrote a song, worked on something else, watched another thing. And is this the right thing to dedicate those 10 hours of my life to? And like, I will get like my heart starts racing. I'm fucking sweating. And then like 5 minutes in, if I'm not really into it, I'm like, I fucked up. I've ruined my life. Like I might as well fucking die.
Because you still have to finish it?
Yeah, because I'm compelled to finish it at that point. So like, no, I hate this. We finally cut our cable like a couple of years ago, but now I pay for 30 fucking streaming services that all have like shows and movies that I like have on a massive list that I need to watch. Like I'm stressed right now. I'm actually like very stressed right now talking about this. Like I'm actually fucking sweating. I'm gesticulating wildly. I'm not okay.
I don't know, but you like go out and stuff too. That's why. Like I don't literally do anything.
Maybe I should stop going out.
I think that's what everyone does. Like even last night we were driving around. We got dinner and then we were just like driving around, and it was a ghost town.
You driving around?
No one was out.
You were just cruising.
Well, no, we were driving home from dinner.
Okay, well that's
we were driving home from Nando's. So you're really gonna impress me.
I've never had Nando's. Is it Nando's Australian?
No, it's British.
Oh, sorry. They're the same.
Cheeky Nando's.
Sorry.
Damn, there's gonna be some blowback for that
one. That's gonna be the thing that really gets me canceled.
So here's the thing. I think we should move along because unless you have anything more pressing to say about the song, I've mostly written down a lot of Blink-182/TV crossover situations.
Oh, fuck yes. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I want to start with, and I wish that I could find actual footage of this. I hate how SNL is so secretive about their performances, you know?
It's so weird. I don't understand. Like, and also even like some of the better skits. Like every time I try to watch Smash Mouth in the Closet, the greatest SNL sketch of all time, it's only on like one of these weird terrace house like foreign streaming services.
I think that's because we're in Canada probably, but maybe not.
Stupid ass
I don't know.
country.
In America, you can get an app where you can just watch every single episode of The Simpsons. Like, it's like fucking insane. Oh my god! I don't understand. We just have to watch Baroness Von Sketch Show.
Thank you, CBC. Thank you, CBC Gem.
I remember Blink playing on SNL when Enema came out. And I remember even being a little kid and being like, this sounds quite bad.
Is this a video, though, or is this just a thread about it? It's
not a video, but it seems pretty juicy. I didn't even read it yet, but...
This is really long, man.
Yeah, I know. Let's try to read it quickly. Story time. I saw Blink at Saturday Night Live. Now, this is what this person says, VRob858 on Reddit. In case you didn't read my other thread, I am the original creator of Blink182.com.
Holy shit.
I stopped working for the band right before Enema of the State came out, and so I fell out of touch with the guys. That was summer of 99. So it seems like this ends badly. So I think, I don't know, can we skip some of it? Is it possible?
Okay, look, in January, they drove from San Diego to New York. They found out that Blink would be on SNL. Saturday rolls around.
This was after he stopped working with them. He found out they'd be on SNL.
Yeah, so basically, he emails them. They don't get back to him, but he's like, fuck it, I'm going to show up. He shows up. It's crazy. Oh, and then Tom sees him and is like, Rob, I need you to fix my computer.
Okay, Tom, get me in, and I'd be happy to. And just like that, they're gone. I see Rick DeVoe, the band's manager, and go over to say hi. Hey, Rick, what's up, man? Think you can get me in? Rick, I need to get myself in. Oh, right. Why is he outside the studios while the band is inside? He's talking with security to explain that he's the band's manager and eventually gets cleared to go up. As he leaves, he tells me he'll see what I can do about getting me in. Are you Rob Perlman? Says an NBC employee. Yes, I am. Come with me. Can I bring my friends? No. See you guys, he says to his friends.
Yeah. Nobody had a cell phone. Showtime approaches. They play. Dude, I'm very concerned that this is a long and bad story.
It seems like he just got to see the dress rehearsal, not the main show.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I've heard that's better.
I've heard that too.
Okay, you know what? You skim this story, and I'm going to tell you. I'll tell an SNL story while you try to find the salient points.
Okay.
So this is actually interesting because it reminds me. I actually got into SNL one time. So maybe
you did?
Yeah, 8 or 9 years ago, when my Jaws musical was playing off Broadway in New York. We stayed up all night and we went and we lined up. So the way SNL ticketing works is you request tickets at the beginning of the year and there's a lottery and you get tickets. You don't get to pick the show, but you just get tickets, right? And so because obviously not everyone can just make a random Saturday in New York
Well, also it's like I enter the lottery every year.
Yeah.
You don't actually they don't. I think it's a fucking lie.
Well,
they must do like 20 tickets or something.
Because there's tons. I mean, every time like there's an artist, there's like tickets for the label, there's like all kinds of, shenanigans. The studio's not that big. So a few tickets go in a lottery, but then they hand out standby tickets the night before. So you can go and line up. And so we were like young and we were in New York doing a fucking play. We had lots of, piss and vinegar. And so we went to 30 Rockefeller and lined up all night. It was like super fun. We were with a bunch of like nerds and just like SNL enthusiasts. And then they basically hand out tickets in the order that you're in the line. So you get a numbered ticket, right? So we were kind of in the middle of the line by the time they handed out the tickets. And there were a couple people there who were like, you're in a pretty good spot. You guys might actually get in. Like this, we've done this a bunch of times. And when we've been in your spot, we tend to have gotten in. We're like, that's amazing. So you go the next day and you line up in the order of your tickets. And then basically they wait and see how many seats they have to fill. And then they let in that line. So there was 5 of us. And we basically agreed. We're like, look, if we get cut off, because we're only in New York for like a week and we're here together. So if we get cut off, we're coming out. We won't go in if we get cut off in the middle of our line. So they let in the line, which is like 100 fucking people, 150 people. And the line literally cuts off in the middle of us. So me and my friend Luke got into SNL. And we were like looking around and we were like, we weren't sure if our friends were going to get let in, and they didn't. And we like went up to a security guard. We're like, we have to leave. And they're like, you're leaving SNL? And we're like, yeah, we got to go. Our friends didn't get in. And they're like, are you kidding me? And they walked us over to like an executive and they're like, these guys want to leave. And they're like, are you serious? You're leaving SNL? We're like, we got to go. And so they took us down in the elevator and the security guard was like, they better be pretty good friends. And we're like, yeah, they're like our best friends. I was like, my fucking wife is outside. So then we didn't get into SNL.
Damn it.
I know. And that was The Killers were playing, by the way.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it sucked.
Well, basically, what I can tell happened here, this is one of those stories where someone tells it and you're like, I don't think you realize how embarrassing you're coming across.
Okay, so you want to summarize it now?
Basically, what has happened is like, he was told by someone that he could crash on Blink-182's floor of their hotel room because he's friends with them. But then they left after the show. And then he's like, I mean, I could go throw a credit card down and buy a hotel room, but that would have been a pretty expensive thing to do at 21. Then I saw Carson Daly with a couple of his friends. Hey, Carson, so Blink apparently left and I was supposed to crash on Rick's floor. Is there any way I can crash on your floor?
What?
Half of me just wanted this to happen because it'd be an amazing story. Sure, man. Any friend of Blink's is a friend of mine. fine. I didn't want to mellow his parting, so I said, okay, cool. I'll just be chilling over there. Let me know when you're ready to go. And then one of his friends came over and said, hey, sorry, you can't stay at Carson's place. I didn't really understand, as he said I could, but they claimed he was staying on the couch or something. And then he found out the name of Blink's hotel, and then he had to, like, basically bug the people in the lobby to finally give him Rick's room number, and then he banged on the door forever, and then he ran into Rick in the hallway, and they got to sleep on Rick's floor.
This
and
dude
Blink
is
never,
the
Blink
worst
never
guy.
talked to him again.
Yeah, of course not. This is a story
Someone's
of like
like
literally the
someone's-
worst Punisher on the planet.
Someone's like, rad story, man. Kind of sad how things come and go. Like, what? It sounds like you're truly the kind of person that when you were walking into a room, people are like, good Lord.
Yeah, it's really sad. I miss those guys. Mark and I were super close, and the door just slammed in my face. Like, dude, like, don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, that sucks, but people do lose touch, and as far as I can tell, you were like the admin on their website.
And being like, can I sleep on the floor of your hotel room is like not a good vibe, I don't think.
No, like, no, like, you're a band on tour. Like, you need your space. You need some time. Like, just like, yeah, of course our, like, old web guy can sleep on my floor and, like, party with Carson Daly.
I didn't understand. Carson Daly said that I could sleep on his floor.
Also,
but then,
sick move, Carson Daly, knowing that, like, it's you can never be the bad guy, right? So, like, Carson gonna sleep on the floor. Hell yeah, man, we're tight now. I'm gonna go over here, and then his friend being
let's
like,
build a fort.
Carson Daly's friend being like, yeah, sorry, Carson doesn't know what he's talking about. You cannot sleep.
Oh, God.
Hey, can you go over there and tell that guy that I'm not sleeping on his floor? Fuck this guy. Sorry, Rob V.
Then why would you type this all out and then in typing it be like, yeah, I'm the victim here. They're the bad guys.
I guess that's what happens when you get popular. You just run out of time to see people. I guess it's like going to college. Good analogy. Like, dude, like, get over it.
It's also funny that through this entire story, Tom keeps asking this guy to fix his computer.
That's a good recurring gag.
Tom's like, oh shit, computer guy. Can you fix my computer?
Oh my God.
Very good. Okay. Moving along from SNL, let's talk about the other SNL. The probably far worse SNL, but I feel like more tied to my generation.
You are
Speaking,
watching.
of course,
Yes.
Mad TV.
Hell yeah.
I don't think we'll watch this whole sketch, but even just the music at the start is so good. So this is
okay.
Blink-182 appeared on a sketch called Leave It to Blink-182, which is like a Leave It to Beaver ripoff. So here we go.
Oh my God, dude.
Leave It to Blink-182. Starring Hugh Beaumont.
Dude.
Barbara Billingsley.
What?
Barbara Billingsley.
I know. That is fucked, actually.
Holy shit. Okay, sorry.
Tony Dow. And Blink-182 as the Blink.
Cookie break.
You read my mind.
Ward, I'm worried about the Blink.
What seems to be the trouble, June? Did they break another window playing baseball?
No, bacon roll up?
Sure. Did they bring another frog to show and tell?
No, dear. Today, I found 2 porn stars, a fifth of Jack Daniels, and a naked munchkin under their beds.
I think it's time we had a talk with those boys. Blink! Oh, Blink!
Well, there's like a smoke cloud.
Boys, what's this I hear about porn stars, booze, and naked munchkins?
We'll admit to the porn stars and the booze, but we don't know anything about naked munchkins.
Well, a naked little person just ran through the set.
Yeah. And then Andy Daly, who is a great comedian, and everyone should watch Review, he walks in, but let's not
Was
ruin
Andy
his...
Daly on Mad TV?
I guess so. I didn't realize that either.
It's crazy how Mad TV, like, I definitely watched it, like, over SNL for a little while, because it was definitely geared at, like, a the yous and me's, I think, more so than SNL
Yeah.
was. But like,
Yeah.
first of all, every sketch that I can remember from Mad TV is like wildly homophobic. And I know like SNL like still trades in like really lazy gay panic jokes, but like in my mind, Mad TV, every sketch is like a gay panic joke.
Right.
But also what's weird is, and then I also think about it, I'm like, okay, Mad TV definitely sucked. And yet I feel like some of the like most interesting like comedic voices of like now were all Mad TV people, right? Whether it's like Key and Peele or Andy Daly, like it's sort of like
Jordan Peele, and then Ike Barinholtz from Mad TV, which I didn't realize till recently.
Yeah, it's always like these people where you're like, oh, this dude's super funny. What else have they done? And you're like, wait, what? All of these people are Mad TV alum? Whereas like you look at like who are the SNL alumni from this era? It's like Rob Schneider probably, right? Like literally horrible fucking
another
people.
god. Yeah, you're right. Another god of comedy.
Yeah. So anyway, this sketch is pretty good.
I mean, every sketch from this is how I remember Mad TV too. Is like they just take two things and combine them, and you're like,
that's funny.
Like there's that classic, the Rudolph stop motion animation thing, but they combine it with The Godfather, I think, or something.
Classic Mad TV, yeah.
Yeah, that's the most classic. But I don't know, like it looks good, and if you're 12, you're not looking for much more than that.
I just love the idea that the big punchline, like multiple times, is them referring to a little person as a munchkin. Like that's like the joke. So sharp writing there, Mad TV.
Sharp writing, and then a whole bunch of scantily clad women come into the living room towards the end because it's just really about, and this is like sort of the pop punk formula is just taking 1950s conservative decor and behavior and then combining it with some sort of edgy high-fiving like rad dude sort of Poochie vibe. It's very cool.
This is very Poochie.
Speaking of Poochie, we've obviously beaten You've Been Saying That Since We Were Blink 12 to death, so we won't play the Simpsons appearance. Mm-hmm. However, I found that...
Wait, just as a question, though, actually, have we been playing it to death only on the Twitter?
I think so,
because there are people who, like, don't follow the pod on Twitter and, like, pay attention to the jokes, so it might be worth playing it just to, like... Because it is a classic moment.
It's a classic moment. So, let me see if I can find it. Well, basically, when they recorded their voices on The Simpsons on like a horribly unfunny Simpsons episode, there's this behind the scenes footage that actually was, I think, uploaded to Blink182.com. So probably by that Punisher who everyone hated from SNL. And there's this behind the scenes video where like Travis just literally can't say the line, and it's one line, and they're like, "Come on, just say it a little bit better," and he can't do it, and it's so excruciating to watch.
It's not.
So I'm very thankful
experience.
that Sam has asked to watch this again.
Well, I think it's important, like knowing the number of people who download the episodes versus knowing how many people follow us on Twitter is like we can't just assume that the entire universe is there with us. It's just we're making like the pod is already like super self-referential and esoteric, and then the idea that we're like referencing things that don't even happen on the podcast, like in a dismissive way. Like, okay, so we all know about Blink 12, but like I don't know, man. I had to ask you to explain it to me.
All right, here's Travis trying to record this one line with The Simpsons.
Loser. And my only direction is go nuts. Alright? What do we do?
Scream our parts and start crying and just like
We have names,
Action. Hey, Blink-182, you can crank it up.
we have names, Oh yeah, that's the stuff.
Man, I don't know. It doesn't sound like us anymore.
Dude, you've been saying that ever since we were Blink-12.
Sound like us anymore.
He's yawning now.
Just like do it as big as we can.
Dude, you've been saying that ever since we were Blink-12.
More pissed off.
Dude, you've been saying that ever since we were Blink-12.
Even angry.
Dude, you've been saying that ever since we were Blink-12.
One more time.
Dude, you've been saying that ever since we were Blink-12.
Travis, we want you to yell at us.
Really?
Yeah. We want you to yell.
Think I'm the man.
Think I'm the man.
I've never heard Travis yell on his
Yeah, I don't
whole
know.
life,
You have to like hit me or something to get me really mad.
I'm willing to try to do it.
Method acting.
Dude, you've been saying that ever since we were Blink-12.
Again.
Dude, you've been saying that ever since we were Blink 12.
I hate that I made this happen. I'm sorry.
Dude, you've been saying that ever since we were Blink 12.
Come on, man, one more time.
Dude, you've been saying that ever since we were Blink 12.
Twice as loud.
Dude, you've been saying that ever since we were Blink 12.
Cut.
Oh, I like that Tom tries to like help out his friend, right? Like he comes in there to be like, honestly, this man does not get angry. Like, stop yelling at my friend. Like Tom's being a good friend in that moment. That's like some nice friendship pornography.
It's true. You know what else is nice friendship pornography? The thing that I just sent you. That is the real TV comedy I wanted to talk about.
Yes.
Which I think this is also another extremely Canadian thing that other people do know about.
Well, was it Canadian? Because I got into this show because YTV, which was our like the youth television channel in Canada, got at some point clearly got the rights to rerun like the original British series. And so so the British series was like huge here, I think, for probably people like us again. And
well, I lived in Scotland when I was a little kid, and I remember we watched it in Scotland.
Yeah, and then
those people would always come to Edinburgh Fringe Festival. My parents would go, and then like Colin Mockery and Ryan Stiles were like a household name. We're talking about Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Baby?
Because it's Drew Carey week, apparently, because we've been talking about The Price is Right as well.
Totally.
So I don't remember. I've seen this has come up in my searches before, but I've never watched it. But this is apparently Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery do a Blink-182 spoof.
Hell yeah. Colin Mockery, proud Canadian.
Hell yeah. But Ryan Stiles is not, right?
No, I think Colin Mockery was the Canadian content.
I like the idea that a person can be Canadian content. I guess that's true.
Yeah, they count towards points, man.
Do you know what I'm really into these days? The alternative scene. That's exactly when I think of the alternative scene, I too go, Especially when I think about the sounds of Blink-182. And their great hit, Hitman Girl.
Oh my god. Wayne Brady is doing air guitar.
Yes.
And who's that white guy? Oh my god, that was horrifying.
Wayne Brady is a treasure, and I think this
who's that white guy with him?
I recognize.
He looks so familiar.
I recognize him, but I think just from watching the show. I mean, he was no Ryan Stiles, Colin Mockery, or Wayne Brady. But I feel like people turned on Wayne Brady because he was like too good, and now I feel like there's a Wayne Brady critical reevaluation happening, and I just want to do my part and say Wayne Brady rocks ass.
I think that alternative comedy is like so played out and cheesy at this point, but watching this video is like when you watch a documentary about punk and they're like, you gotta understand what else was happening at the time.
Right.
It's like, I can see now that like this is on TV and then you go to UCB and you're like, oh my god,
right?
What have I just seen?
Yeah, that's true, right? It's hard now to like look back on those things which like themselves have become sort of like codified a bit and be like, no, this was like an actual response to like, it's like when you watch like some like yuck's ass stand-up comedy and you're like, oh, like maybe Mark Maron is right sometimes.
Yeah, totally. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving through these. I don't think there's any covers of this that are worth
That's fine.
So I'm just gonna
love
keep playing
this. Yeah,
TV spots. This is from a TV show called Two Girls and a Pizza Place.
Oh, I remember like really liking this.
I don't think I ever seen this show.
I think I had a crush on the titular girl, and also I'm pretty sure this was like an early Ryan Reynolds vehicle.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is in this.
Yeah.
The girl is this Canadian? Well, no, it's set in Boston.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Ryan Reynolds is the only person that I've heard of. Oh, Nathan Fillion was in it.
Oh my god.
He's from some stuff.
Yeah, Be Still My Heart. I'm enough of a Whedonman
Whedonman.
that I love Nathan Fillion.
So who's the girl?
I don't remember her name because
Her name is look. Open the poster on IMDb. Her name is Trailer.
What?
Her name is literally Trailer. Traylor Howard. Trailer Howard.
That's like there's no way that's her birth name, right? Like that's like you adopted like a.
Whoa, she was in Dirty Work. That's so pop punk somehow.
No, she is the love interest in Dirty Work.
You talking Trailer?
Yeah.
This is my daughter Trailer.
Yo, her birth name is Trailer. Wow. That's wild. But yeah,
and she was born in Florida, so I guess that makes sense.
Right, that does make sense. But yeah, she was the love interest in Dirty Work. So yeah, like generally I had a massive crush on this woman growing up.
Well, yeah, because you love Trailer. You love trailers. So, okay, here we go. This is Blink-182 in Two Girls and a Pizza Place. Ryan Reynolds walks into the house party. Everyone laughs because Blink-182 is naked.
Ryan Reynolds looks very confused. Oh, he's getting
moshed. But then he just started moshing. He's pointing out to his friend that they're naked.
Oh. Are they at the pizza place, maybe?
You know, until we can afford some costumes.
Some sort of joke about how they save money on costumes by being naked.
George, come here. I have something I want to say to you. Guys, I'm going to pull the plug. Party's over. Everyone's got to go home. No! I'm going home. Wait, what? For some reason, I don't know, the idea of a band playing naked just doesn't thrill me anymore. So, I guess I'm trying to say is I'm old, and I'm going to bed early. You want to know why? Because I'm tired, and I've got a headache. Enjoy the pizza place, Church. She's all yours. I quit. Yeah, all right, before you go.
He does. Ryan Reynolds is truly the most infuriating and punchable person on earth. He talks with his molars, like he does this like sound, and he's like sarcastically like, I don't know, the thought of watching a naked band play right now just doesn't appeal to me anymore.
You know what's funny is Deadpool would love a naked band, so
that's true.
You know, it just shows his range as an actor.
It's frustrating that Deadpool was defending Nickelback recently because I'm like, that's my thing. I don't want to be the same as Deadpool.
Here's the problem with Deadpool. Some of it's good, and
yeah, I know you've tried to say this to me before.
I know but I think it's important. I've decided to like not shy away from what are like my worst and most basic opinions, which is that like
you have to live your truth.
Yeah, and my truth is like I kind of find Ryan Reynolds charming. I do. I know. I objectively know. I know, but it's sort of the same way of like liking a 4 years strong song where I'm like, I know this is like bad, but like I like it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it works. You gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. Speaking of things that are only on the
empty platitudes, Josiah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get past this, so I don't say anything hurtful.
No, it's fine.
Speaking of things that are only on the Twitter that we haven't played yet, I guess I should play this thing that I recently found, which is Mark Hoppus, his home being featured on a reality show where they feature gardens. It's called Rock Gardens, but it's like a guitar. The intro alone is just so humiliating, and also Mark has this crazy beard in it.
Yeah, it's like a neck beard, though.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's check this out.
Welcome back. In 1993, the trio Blink-182 burst onto the music scene with a fresh punk attitude laced with a surprising sense of humor. Since then, the San Diego-based band has gone on to win just about every major music award. But what their fans may not know is that one of these wild and crazy guys, lead singer Mark Hoppus, has a more down-to-earth side to him.
Just this like absurdly middle-aged person home.
Classic Southern California
it's a bad house.
Never guessed that it belongs to one of today's hottest punk rock musicians.
Hello, my name is Mark Hoppus, and I play in Blink-182. Come in and check out my yards. Come on in.
Mark Hoppus's home sits perched on a hill overlooking a private golf course. Not your typical neighborhood for a punk rocker. But Mark feels right at home, due in large part to his gardens.
I love that he says, come check out my yards.
Yo, you know you've made it when even Champagne Sammy doesn't have multiple yards.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why this is a good. This is also like these are great plugs for the pod on other mediums, right? It's like you're missing out.
Yeah.
Like you would have seen that video several days ago.
No, like weeks ago because we're so far into the future.
Right. Oh my God. Sorry, man. I forgot about how time works. Oh my God. He did Haunted?
Yeah. What is this show, Haunted? I've never even heard of it.
So this is a show that I believe is, or it's like celebrity hauntings, but it's probably the same kind of thing. It's like famous people telling like
Oh yeah,
ghost
no, it's
stories.
not that at all.
Oh.
It's not that.
Okay, so
this
I have
is
no
the
idea what
actual
this
UPN show starring Matthew Fox from 2002 that was shot in Vancouver.
Oh.
And it's somehow it looks like the kind of show that would have been canceled immediately. And I'm right. It was canceled 2 months after it came out.
That's cool. So just so people understand the context for this clip we're about to share, police officer Frank Taylor had the perfect job and perfect family. After his son's unsolved abduction, his life, marriage, and career disintegrate. He leaves the force to become a private investigator, specializing in missing and abducted children cases. His ex-wife has come to terms with the loss of their child, but Frank is obsessed with one day finding their son. Anyway.
Well, yeah, I don't think we're gonna watch the whole thing because it's all of Mark's clips.
Wait,
but,
hold on. It's actually about this character of Frank nearly dying and now being able to communicate with the dead. So, I thought it was haunted by the ghosts of the past, but it turns out he is literally haunted by the ghosts of the now.
That's like every single TV show ever is that plot.
Yeah, totally.
Let's just see what Mark's acting chops were like in 2002 a little bit.
Mom, Dad! What do you suppose happened?
Looks like he had an accident of some kind.
I wonder who he is.
No idea, sweetheart.
How bad is he hurt?
Bad enough. That ankle doesn't look good.
What's fucking happening in this scene?
I think they find Matthew Fox in bed. I think he's just been injured. He's about to see ghosts. But I don't know. We get the vibe. I'll skip ahead when Mark talks to him.
Who's gonna take care of her then? We're taking care of her.
Mark's like, we're taking care of
Wait,
her.
is Matthew Fox tied down? Is this like a sort of Misery type situation where he's...
Oh my God, maybe.
Oh my God. Is Mark a ghost? I think Mark's a
there's
ghost.
a scene where Mark looks really
Dude,
evil later on.
Go around 3:15. I think Mark Hoppus is like a vengeful ghost.
Oh my God.
Like he... What? And he disappears.
Whoa! Shit.
Yo.
This show's good. They should bring back Haunted.
Yo, let's start a letter writing campaign, guys. Does Mark Hoppus try to kill Matthew Fox? He absolutely does.
Seems like
Go
it.
to 6:30 around. It looks like he's trying to smash him over the head with a log. Also, he 100% has the beard that he has in the HGTV thing. Maybe
I know.
This is his acting beard.
Whoa, it's a ghost. Mark Hoppus trying to kill him. I don't know. I think Mark's a pretty good actor.
I think he's totally good, but it's so weird. Like, did he try? I'm looking at Mark Hoppus on IMDb. Like, what's his?
Well, obviously, like the thing is, we need to do like 10 TV exclusives because there's so many TV things. There's Mark Hoppus's Fuse TV show. There's all these things. He has tried very hard, but he recently, and unfortunately, I am going to talk about something that's timely from the news because everyone tagged us in it, but it's on topic now. But he had pitched this TV show called Bronze Blue that was some sort of like vegetarian kids show.
Right.
And he just was recently talking about it. I don't know. It sounds awful.
So, yeah. Oh, he did it with Jensen Karp and Pete Wentz.
Yeah.
Jensen Karp wrote a pretty good book called Kanye West Owes Me $300. It's all about his like failed career as like a joke rapper.
And isn't he now married to the girl
Topanga.
from Boy Meets World?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, that Jensen Karp guy just seems like a guy who's just like been hanging out in the periphery of pop culture for the last 20 years.
Yeah, totally. The book is honestly really good.
He's basically the guy that asked to sleep on Carson Daly's floor, but but it worked out for him.
But Carson was feeling charitable that night, and that's been his whole career.
Well, then let's just. I think there's a theme song that Mark Hoppus released that was going to be on the show. It's the Algae theme song, so I'm going to play that.
Sick.
But yeah, I don't know. This show seems like it would have sucked. This is definitely somebody who grew up watching the Brady Bunch and Price is Right writing a kid's theme song.
Yeah, that was...
Like, kids' theme songs do not sound like that anymore.
That was not great. Sorry, while you were playing that, I looked up the episode summaries for Haunted so we could get a little bit more context for what we just
thank you.
described.
Yeah.
So you could just tell that this show was destined for greatness. This is the just to contextualize this again, this is the plot of the pilot. Private Detective Frank Taylor, whose marriage to Jessica Manning ended after their son was abducted, kills a pedophile, Simon Dunn, and almost dies himself. When he discovers he can now see the dead, he uses this ability to find a missing boy kidnapped by Simon, who now haunts him. This episode 2 is called Grievous Angels. Frank searches for a missing teen clubber. He clashes with people connected to the rock band Grievous Angels. Several episodes later is the episode with Mark Hoppus called A 3-Hour Tour, another television reference. And the summary of this episode is Frank sees Jessica with her legal colleague. Later, after a car accident on a dark country road, Frank is taken in by a young girl and her reclusive parents, who turn out to be ghosts still caring for their daughter.
Oh my God.
So he's literally a ghost dad.
The other F word, he's also in that.
Oh shit, is he?
I think we could literally start like another podcast just about Blink-182's like pop culture appearances.
We should. I don't think we talk about Blink enough. I mean, we actually definitely don't talk about Blink enough.
Okay, well, just finally, like I said, there's only like fucking there's a couple people playing guitar in the room, and I was like, oh, I guess we could talk about their shirts or whatever fucking stupid bullshit we usually do. But instead, it was more fun to talk about TV stuff, and I found something that I'm very excited to show you, which seems to be somebody has made their own Blink-182 animated series. Kimball Whiting uploaded this. I don't know. I think this is just a fan-made thing. It's called Blink-182 Adventures.
Yes.
You can see the title card at the 16-second mark. It's Blink-182, The Adventures of Tom and Mark, and it looks kind of like a Hanna-Barbera style thing. Like I said, I haven't watched this. I'm just gonna. Do you want me just to hit play?
Just hit play. Let's just see what's up.
Okay. So there's a van driving through the night.
Okay, now we got the title card, like you said. The Adventures of Tom and Mark.
The music is so bad.
It's good. Okay, so
Episode 1, A Crack in the Knight's Armor.
and it's like the van is rolling. It sort of looks like it's shitty South Park.
Show we did. So good, I was totally wasted the whole time. Yes, I was. I drank like 10 bottles of tequila. You couldn't even drink one bottle of tequila. Yes, I could. I could drink a barrel of tequila. A barrel? How could you drink a whole barrel? You're not a cow. Yes, I am. You're not. You're a boy. I'm not a boy. I'm a man. Look at that dude.
Okay, so they pulled up on a car accident. Maybe this is an homage to Haunted.
Whoa, check it out, Tom. What's wrong with him, Mark? He's totally wasted. What a crappy car. He's got like 1 billion Taco Bell wrappers back here. Man, this guy sure does suck, Tom. Yeah, Mark. I bet his name's like Carl or Marv or something. Look, he's got some lame note. It says, attention, my name is Carl.
This is like 5.5 minutes long, but it literally, skipping ahead, it turns into like a full-on Scooby-Doo style.
Oh my God! There's like a talking
There's, like,
owl, and they're in like a.
There's a musical part at the end, so I'm just gonna play the musical part because this seems like the kind of thing that everyone needs to experience on their own. So we'll link to it.
Okay, it's too much.
This is actually like, but honestly, this is like 10 times more impressive than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Are there multiple episodes too?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like.
Like, is this real?
I don't. I don't know. Maybe we're. Yeah, it appears to be like also available across like multiple streaming sites. Like I don't know, man. I don't know.
Okay, let's hear the music and we'll try to figure this out.
While the crackhead goes to crackhead, while the crackhead is fully wasted, while the crackhead pulls the crackhead, while the crackhead makes no sense at all. It makes no sense at all. Fuck you, Dad. Fuck you, Dad. Fuck you, Dad. Fuck you, Dad. Fuck you, Dad.
Actually, a pretty good song.
There's another upload of it where someone has said that it's an animated feature film, so that's interesting as well.
That's curious. Well, maybe we can get a hold of the creator, see if there's like any more like unfinished episodes we can surface.
Yeah, because seriously, the animation is like pretty good. Like in a very simplistic way, they especially capture Tom's way of speaking and doing his weird eye blinking.
It's so weird because the Mark voice is like not especially good, but the Tom voice is actually a more spot-on impression than a lot of the Tom impressions that we hear typically.
But I also, I love the sort of caricature of Mark as being this, dumb oaf. It's just, really
totally.
cute and funny, too.
Yeah, he's also, kind of, swole. Like, he's animated in a very sort of muscular fashion, whereas Tom is, rail thin. I love it.
Oh, my God.
So,
yeah.
Okay, please.
That's it. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than TV rules.
TV rules. So just what are your final thoughts on the song TV by the band Blink-182?
I barely remember it now, but I think it's, I don't know. It's another Cheshire song where I'm just like, what an adorable 12-year-old this was. But he was probably 25 when he wrote it.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. I mean, my final thought is I can't wait to see more Blink-182 adventures.
Me too.
Bring it back.
In 1993, the trio Blink-182 burst onto the music scene with a fresh punk attitude laced with a surprising sense of humor.
Welcome to Blink-155. We got a very special guest. We're here with, and you've all been sending me things, you've all been showing me stuff for a long time, and so we're finally here with Bob McPherson, the founding drummer and only remaining founding member of Tiltwheel. Welcome to Blink-155, Bob.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
So before we get into the controversy of it all, I want to just sort of find out a little bit about you, I guess, about you now, but also about kind of the history of Tiltwheel. And let's start with the history of Tiltwheel. So how and when did the band start and where, and just sort of give us a little bit of backstory.
Sure. Yeah, we started in March of '92. An old skateboarding friend of mine, Damon Way, who maybe you might know, he started the DC Shoe Company. His brother was the very, very famous Danny Way. Damon it's really kind of a sad story because he was a really, really good skater in the late 80s, and somebody at a high school function came up behind him and punched him in the head, and he hit his head on a curb, and it basically he lost motor function in his legs, so he couldn't really skate anymore.
Oh my God.
He would have been probably one of the gnarliest best skaters of all time, right? But this guy just punched him and caused all these problems for him. But anyways, he wanted to start a band, and he knew I played drums from some other bands I had been in before. And so he hit me up, and he knew a guy who played bass, and that was Aaron, our first bass player. And we kind of messed around with this other guy on guitar, and then he put up flyers at a local community college, and we found Davey, who's been the main, songwriter, and he really is the main Tiltwheel guy. Answered one of these flyers, and we just started playing. Started playing shows with Damon. Now, this is something that'll sound kind of mean, but he was truly a horrible singer. Like he absolute, like, I mean, my 5-year-old son can sing way better than he can. Right. So we recorded once with him and listened to it, and we were like, oh my God, this is like the worst. This sounds horrible, you know? And we kind of like, we're going to go record again. And it was on a Saturday morning, and we were all sitting at our practice space like, all right, we had never came to the consensus, like, let's kick this guy out and Davey's going to sing. And we all just sat down and we're like, yeah, let's not record with him, kind of all at the same time. Like, yeah, we don't want him. So we called him like the morning we were supposed to go record for like it was for a compilation, like CD kind of thing way back in the like 93, I think it was. So we called him and said, yeah, sorry, dude, you're out. Davey's going to sing. Thanks a lot. So we kicked the guy out who basically formed the band and everything, you know, and kind of just went away. So, right. Yeah, it was kind of a sad but good moment for us or whatever, you know. So,
right. And this was all in San Diego?
Yeah, all in San Diego. We were really based like in Escondido, which is in the north. It's like, we call it like North County. It's the north part of San Diego County. Yeah, and after that, we started playing a lot and recording and doing this and that, and here we are today, you know. So
leading up to that point, like, because I guess maybe it's because we're younger and because we have generally pretty bad taste because we run a Blink-182 podcast, but I mean, for us,
I wouldn't call that bad taste. I always liked Blink, you know, not like my favorite band, but I mean, I would say, like, I have always kind of appreciated them.
I mean, like, yeah, trust me though, I have very bad taste. I mean, I really do. But I'm just saying, like, to me, sort of Blink is that era, like mid to late 90s is the era where people I knew got into pop punk or skate punk or whatever you want to call it. So for you, what brought you to the genre that you played? Not that it's necessarily pop punk, but you know what I mean.
I don't know. You know, I mean, like going way back, like when I was, oh, hang on, there's a phone call coming in. My stupid phone. I don't even know how to do this. Send a voicemail. There we go. Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
No.
Okay, so going back to like listening to punk rock in the 80s and stuff, when I was an early teenager, I was into like Circle Jerks, TSOL, Black Flag, whatever, you know, more like all that early 80s kind of California punk, you know, which is a little more on the hardcore side, but along comes Husker Du, you know, and it's like, it's melodic and kind of poppy and catchy, you know, and it's still got that kind of punk thing going on, but way more on the melodic and kind of easy to listen to side, you know, that's kind of like the hallmark of most pop punk bands is it makes your feet tap, it makes you kind of happy bouncing around, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's where the roots, I think that's the root, especially with Davey too, like his guitar playing, he sounds like a lot like old Husker Du, Bob Mould kind of stuff, you know, like he's got that kind of weird twang going on, or however you want to say it. That really appealed to me. I mean, because that I always liked Descendants, dude. Look, I can't believe I already got the
right.
Descendants. But I love the Descendants in the 80s, like my favorite band, you know, is in the later 80s. So that's what led us. I mean, all things pop punk, I think are great. You know, it's accessible, man. I mean, it's easy to listen to. The subject matter isn't like maybe as dark as earlier punk stuff, and maybe as dark as like hardcore stuff or whatever. And it's just like it's a lot happier. But I don't know, just kind of makes me feel good, you know?
Yeah.
And it always had, I guess. So.
Totally. But like, well, are you into like really like cheesy, modern, like mall pop punk?
You know, there's some of it that I like for sure. I wouldn't be, you know, I wouldn't be embarrassed to say that I like Sum 41. I mean, I can own up to that. I can say that maybe it's a little bit of a guilty pleasure or whatever, but I'm not too up on really like newer pop punk stuff that's out there.
Yeah.
You know, there's a band that a buddy of ours is in called the Prozacs from Massachusetts. Like, and that kind of epitomizes pop punk for me. and it's just like pretty straightforward, kind of queer style punk, pop punk, you know?
Yeah.
And that they're still going strong. So, I mean, I appreciate it. I think it's awesome. You know?
Yeah, there seems to be a whole ecosystem for that kind of stuff. But I'm talking like you should just like spend an evening if you want to be really confused. Just like go to Epitaph's page on YouTube and like watch a little bit of everything, and you'll be like, "What the fuck is going on in this world?"
Like, wait, this is the same label that had like Bad Religion and Rancid and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, totally. And now it's just, I mean, I can't even that's a whole other podcast for a whole different time. But so basically, over the years, I mean, so is Tiltwheel still a band now?
Yeah, we're still at, yeah. We're like writing new songs and playing. We played a couple weekends ago. So we don't play that much or travel that much. We want to still, but we all, you know, I'm 49, Davey, the guitarist, is 50. So we have jobs, families, yada, yada. We kind of just do it whenever we can. You know, we try and practice every week and definitely have a bunch of new songs going. It's just hard to keep anything really solid and going like we used to, for sure. But yeah, we're still going though. I mean, for sure. It's still, I mean, cause we still love it. I think if we didn't like it, we wouldn't do it anymore, but it's definitely a labor of love at this point, and it kind of always has been, you know?
That's sick. So, okay. At what point was Tom in the band?
It was around, now this is good because I kind of studied before you called. I have a book, right, that has
sick.
A bunch of old flyers.
Because the other thing is, like, I do a brain-breaking amount of research for every song that we do, and so I always find these like threads of little rumors, and there's so many things about Tiltwheel that pop up here and there that I want to ask you about eventually. But you know, it's like it seems like there's just all this hearsay, so I love to go straight to the source and figure out what the hell actually is going on and what happened.
Yeah. I mean, I'll answer as best I can but keep in mind too that was like 25 years ago, and so it might be a little hazy, but I'll try my best, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so when was he in the band?
He probably only played like 2 or 3 shows with us, and it was just after Dude Ranch came out, so it was like probably mid 97, late 97. Scotty, the drummer, his parents got divorced, and he was going to have to move from Poway, from San Diego area, to Reno to live with his dad. So we were buddies with Tom, and more Tom than anybody else, really. And Tom was hanging out with us, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do. Like, should I break up Blink or whatever? You know, I don't know." And we're like, "Well, why don't you just get a new drummer or whatever?" And he said, "Well, I don't know. We'll play with us for a while, see what happens." So we did like maybe 4 practices, 2 or 3 shows, and then they ended up getting Travis Barker, and he moved on, basically, you know?
Right.
So,
damn.
He was, dude, I'll tell you what, like, it was great. He was a really good guitarist. I think he always has been, for sure. But it was nice having him have that extra guitar and that extra little bounce going in the band, for sure, for that very brief period of time, you know?
It seems like specifically in the 90s he was amazing at guitar, and then like in the more recent, before he left the band, he kind of got really shitty at guitar.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think he went through some... I haven't talked to that dude since probably 98 or 99, and I know just based on, I mean, I don't know how you feel about Angels in the Airwaves, but
I remember I told you earlier. I told you earlier I have really bad taste.
Okay. So I'll take that as yes, you do like them.
But
so
you can shit
okay.
on anything you want. No, I mean, I have such bad taste because I've been shitting on music my whole life, and now that I'm into my 30s, I'm deciding just to like everything, and I don't know why. It's really weird.
Well, that's a pretty open-minded view to have. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you start saying like you're real into pop country or something like that, I might have to get, we might have to end this pretty quick, but anyways, that's okay.
Yeah. So explain to me the Tiltwheel song Blink with the apostrophe in it. Cause we just last week did Does Your Breath Smell? And I forgot to mention that Blink song, people think that someone stole one of these songs from each other at some point.
Oh no. Well, that song, okay. Cause all right. I'll fast forward maybe a tiny bit. When the whole controversy lately of the pill that Simple Pleasures band is using for their logo came about, I posted it on Facebook. got a lot of like old, you know, a ton of my friends were like, didn't Blink steal a song from you guys and blah, blah, blah. Well, I got that straightened out pretty quick because Tom kind of gave that riff to Davey. They were like messing around on the phone with each other, playing guitar back and forth, I guess. And that was the riff in that song. So Tom kind of like contributed to that song for sure. So it was kind of meant to be, that was our song that sounded like Blink, kind of, or whatever, you know, but it was kind of a riff that him and Davey had been messing around with. Apparently, I wouldn't say that 100% certainty, but that's kind of what I was told. So,
right. So, I mean, at the time, like, were you guys pissed off when you heard that he had used it in a Blink song as well?
Oh, no, not at all. No. And I don't, they're saying like, Tom and Davey used to go kind of back and forth and play guitar and like, just mess around with each other like on the phone, and if a riff stuck and they used it, cool. I mean it, but I would never say that like they were stealing it from each other or anything was ever stolen music wise, you know what I mean? Because that's just what we did. I mean, like I was saying, like one of the reasons I think Davey is such a great guitar player to me is that he sounds a lot like Bob Mould, and I love Bob Mould, you know?
Right.
So it's more of a tribute, I think, than an actual ripoff, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
that's totally fine with that. Totally. I think it's awesome when people in bands do that. I think it's like the highest form of flattery. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you like my riff enough to like use it in your song. Great. Unless if you're Green Day ripping off like Dillinger 4 or something like that. That's a whole nother story. But
well, I've also read, and I've heard rumors about other bands who claim this too, but I read somewhere that someone was saying that Blink-182 stole the Damn It riff from Tiltwheel.
I've heard that. I've heard M&M's. But then I got straightened out on that. They stole M&M's from a band called John Cougar Concentration Camp. But again, it was one of those respectful steals where it was acknowledged and everyone was cool with it. So it wasn't ever like, ooh, I'm going to steal this riff and make $1 million off of it and fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I guess, like, we are talking about, no offense, but, like, very simple music to a certain degree.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's definitely not like a symphony or anything like that. So, yeah.
So
you won't ever hear any cellos in a Tiltwheel song or any pop punk song that's worth anything anyways.
So you've heard the Damn It thing, but you don't necessarily subscribe to that belief.
No, I mean, I think if there was, if anything, it would be like more of just like ooh, this kind of sounds like Tiltwheel or whatever, like we're going to use this riff, and there you go. I mean, that's cool as hell. I think it's like totally respectful and fine, you know?
Yeah.
Because keep in mind that at that time when that song was written and out and all that, like we were friends. So there's no theft there. And I don't think no hard feelings or bad feelings about that whatsoever, you know?
For sure. So, like, however, even being the age that I'm at and growing up in the punk scene that I've grown up in, where my friends have had like a modicum of success, and then you see all the jealousy and bickering or whatever. Like, there must have been some resentment when they blew up, no?
No, not more pride. I would totally honestly say more pride. Like, I mean, good for them. Hometown kids making it big, you know. At least from my perspective, I never had any hard feelings towards them. I mean, you know that the word sellout gets thrown around a lot whenever a band, especially in punk rock, gets really big.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, fuck you, man. I let them succeed. They're living the dream. They get to make music for a living. Like, oh, come on. That's the best thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, might as well say, oh, you get to sit around and play video games all day and we'll pay for it. Okay. I mean, who would say no to that? You know, that's my take on it anyways.
Well, I also, I get annoyed when people say that and then they're like, oh, they changed their sound to write a hit, or like they're trying to make it big, so they're writing music like that. But like, that's actually pretty fucking hard to do, to like write a big pop song.
That's not an easy thing to do. No, I don't think it is at all. I mean, if it was easy, you know, there'd be a million, you know, huge major, you know, rock stars out there, however you want to say it. It's not easy. It's, you know, it's luck and skill. It's like a little bit of everything. So that's my thought. I mean, but I think it's more really like talent and appeal and that's not your everyday ordinary kind of thing. So
yeah, for sure. So you definitely didn't feel that way, but are there people who feel like, oh, these rock stars have wronged us or something that you can tell?
I'm sure, I'm sure. I think when they really hit it big back in the 90s, there were a lot of people that I'll tell you this. I mean, this is something that I caught a few times. There are a lot of people that said things to me like, oh, now that Blink's big, are they going to take you guys on tour? Are they going to, are they going to help you guys out? Or are they blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't know. That's up to them. That's not up to, I'm not asking for anything, let them do their thing and we'll do our thing. I don't know. For us, it's never been really about like success. And I know that makes me sound like kind of a martyr or whatever, but it's kind of true. We're just a bunch of drunken idiots in the 90s that wanted to play and have fun. And as the years went by, we got a little bit more sober for sure, older,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I can say for sure after Dude Ranch, there were a lot of people that were like, ooh, now that Blink's big, you guys they're going to take you on tour. And this, I'm like, fuck, I don't know. Maybe we're not asking for anything from them or expecting anything either. If it happens, all right, cool. But if not, whatever too. So
right. There's a documentary about the San Diego punk scene that I haven't watched yet, but I've been really wanting to. But they were kind of making it seem like there was a time, like any city has that time, when they were saying San Diego was the next Seattle.
Oh God, yes. There was a massive feeding frenzy in like 97, 98. Like they signed every band that they could get their hands on from San Diego. And San Diego had a lot of the bands have a really unique sound that I don't think Tiltwheel or Blink, or like, another big San Diego band would be John Cougar Concentration Camp from those times or whatever. I don't think they fit into that sound that the labels were really looking for, because they were signing bands like, like Rocket from the Crypt, Tanner, a band called No Knife, like that were more of the kind of on the alternative side, I guess, kind of the grungy-ish the San Diego sound is weird. Have you ever listened to like Rocket from the Crypt or anything like that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. My big San Diego band growing up was The Locust. And all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So you're like a generation or two like behind me. Yeah. Because The Locust, because I was already in my like mid-30s when The Locust was huge.
What did you think of them then?
I like The Locust. I mean, I know like Friends of Friends or whatever, but I think it's, I'm kind of like you, man. I like anything,
Yeah.
I totally love like all types of music, and stuff like that. I mean, I love like, any kind of metal, like black metal, death metal, speed metal, old thrash metal, so Locust is not that big of a stretch, I think, if you like punk and you like metal and you like, I don't know, kind of any kind of unique San Diego-ish kind of thing,
yeah, for sure.
It's not a big stretch to say like, oh, I like that too, or whatever.
Yeah. So it does seem like San Diego doesn't have a bunch of bands that all sound the same. I think that's what you're kind of trying to say.
I think in the 90s, like in the late 90s, there was like mid to late 90s. They sound kind of the same, but kind of different at the same time, San Diego, it's a weird place because, it's like, oh, beach, city, fun, skateboarding, surfing, blah, blah, blah. But then you have like there's a very big artistic community and like a lot of kind of like, I wish I could put my finger out, but the picture in my head is of a guy with like shiny black shoes, really tight jeans, really tight like black button-up shirt with slick black hair.
Right. Okay.
I want to say is that wouldn't be emo, but it's kind of like it's like the kind of pre hipster kind of look in a way. You know what I mean? And
like I think it would have been called a scene kid in the 90s, but then
something like that. Yeah.
But that word was like co-opted by like I don't know, MySpace kind of stuff.
Right. But these guys were all like. The guys in all the big bands that the labels were just like drooling over in the 90s were all like older guys that had been in kind of shitty punk bands in the late 80s, and they were growing up. They were like in their late 20s, early 30s. So they had a pretty kind of sophisticated sound that was really unique, and they jumped all over them and did like none of them went anywhere except for really Rocket and No Knife were the only two that really had any big success.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but
something I didn't really give enough time to a few minutes ago was when you were talking about how Tom and Davey would trade riffs over the phone. That is so quaint to think about in this day and age.
Dude, pre-internet days, really. I mean, this is like Windows 95 days where internet was super new. And I think they used to talk on the old like BBS message boards and stuff, probably. But you talked, right, it was almost like how people would send each other letters, right? Like, like correspond as far as, what was that band, the Postal Service, right? Didn't they?
Yeah.
Wasn't their thing, they would send like music back and forth to each other, and then they came up with this whole record worth of songs or whatever. But it's like that, right? It's so archaic. Like, Jesus, did they do it? Were they hitting the Morse code machines, the telegraph?
Yeah.
Going, here you go, yeah, okay, yeah, I like that riff. Oh, that ... dash sounded awesome. So
that's, oh man. And so, at what point did you stop talking to? So you were only really friends with Tom, like you weren't really friends with Mark at all?
No, I mean Mark. Of course, we knew each other because we played a bunch of shows with him and stuff. But no, not really. I mean, we never really hung out with him. But Tom, okay, this is a little quick aside. I lived in a town when the band kind of really started doing good and playing out a lot and yada yada. I lived in a little town called Cardiff by the Sea, and me and the bass player were roommates. Davey, we practiced in my bedroom. Davey would come over and stay like 2 or 3 nights a week, and then on weekends, if we were party. Now, right down the street from me, about a block away, was this little complex that about 10 girls in their early 20s lived in. One of those girls, Tom, was desperately in love with, okay? And I think he ended up marrying her, Jan. Do you know? Was
he
the name
did,
of his wife?
Yeah, that is the name of his wife, although we're trying to figure, it seems like they might have just gotten divorced, maybe, very recently. But that is who he married.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it because I know, I mean, it seems like he's kind of gone off the deep end, and she was a friend of mine.
Okay.
Like not a super good friend, but I mean, we definitely hung out. And he would come over just to hang out with us for a little bit so he could kind of get to Jen, let's go down. Hey, let's go see what Jen's doing, kind of thing. And we're like, all right. So we go get some beer, go down there. They were always having parties and this and that. And she was originally from Poway too, but she moved to Cardiff. So anyways, that we hung out with Tom. Like Mark was never any part of that, or Scotty or anything like that. But Tom would kind of come and hang out with us. And a lot of times it was kind of just to like get to Jan, because I don't think she wanted to give him the time of day at first,
That's so cute. That's adorable.
Yeah. Like a little puppy dog in love,
It's weird because he obviously is like off the deep end, like exploring space and time, but he also in his own weird way seems like the more down to earth one.
I think so. I think I would say so. I don't know though. Like I said, I think Mark was a little bit quieter seeming to me, even though maybe his personality in the spotlight is a little bit more boisterous or something.
Yeah.
He was always super cool to me. No, never had any issues or problems. I mean, I was playing in this other band that was playing a show with them in Las Vegas, and my drums fell over, right? And he was right there. He ran up, picked up my drums and put them back for me while I was right in the middle of the song.
Whoa, what band was that?
I remember that, like, going, dude, I was like, thank you so much. That nobody else around me would help, but the rock star from Blink ran out and helped me out. As a joke, like, what a cool thing for somebody to do, So,
totally. What band was that?
I was in a band called Pivot for a little bit.
Okay.
For I don't know, maybe 4 months or something. they kicked out their drummer, and I played for them, and they didn't really like me that much as a drummer, so they got another guy.
Because your drums kept falling over, and Mark had to...
Yeah, it's like, fuck, dude, you can't even... How can we record with you if your drums fall over halfway through every song? Well, all right, we improvise. You know, I'm very big on improvisation, so... anyways.
How do you, like... How are you still playing punk rock after all these years? Did you ever be like, oh, I'm so fucking sick of this? Or what's the deal?
No, never. No. I don't know. I think the sound for us has like changed for sure. Maybe gotten a little less schizophrenic, but no, I think that I hate to be one of those morons that says like, oh, it's in my blood, but I guess it is because I still, what's the first section I go to at the record store is the punk section. Always the first one. Who has a new record? What do I want? It's like, that's I guess, where my heart is in a way, and also it feels natural to play that. Like I would feel weird playing like classic rock or playing like funk or something like that. I'd be like, no, fuck, this isn't me,
Right.
Like that would feel forced almost or something. Whereas like kind of the punkier stuff definitely feels pretty natural.
But do you still feel like what's your opinion of the idea that punk is for the youth?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think people used to say that about the rock and roll until the goddamn Rolling Stones turned 80, I mean, what are you going to say? It's like, I would agree. It was a youth movement when it was founded. And it will always kind of, in the foreseeable future, I think is going to continue as like more of a youth movement than anything else. But, I think everybody, whatever the piss and vinegar is in your system that makes you want to play punk rock and, sing maybe angrier sounding songs or whatever, that's, if anything, it gets worse the older you get. When you're 18 years old, you have no idea what to be mad about. What, are you mad at your parents because they didn't give you enough allowance that week or what?
Yeah.
It's like you didn't get enough time on Fortnite or whatever. I don't know, But it's like the older you get, oh, go kid, you know what? When you're 49 and some asshole screaming at you on the phone for 20 minutes at your job, tell me you're not going to go home just completely pissed off. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's that much more material to come up with the older you get, I think. So
yeah, for sure.
I agree, though, to an extent. It's a youth movement. It's for the young and kind of young and rebellious kind of thing. But like I said, I really think like the older you get, depending on how much you conform to whatever norms society see fit for you to be conforming to, I mean, but you're still going to carry. There's so much more weight on your shoulders the older you get. That's a lot more angst to have to get out of your system. And I think that punk rock is always going to be a pretty good release for stuff like that,
Yeah, for sure. Hey, while we're talking about SoCal, while I have someone from SoCal, there's this guy that I got to just mention. His name is Bill Billingsley. He's obsessed with our podcast, and he's obsessed with Blink-182. I think he's around your age, but he's from Carlsbad.
Oh, he's right up there from where I live in a town called Encinitas. He's
Like
5 miles away from where I live. So
damn. Well, be careful. He's going to start.
Do you need me to seek him out and straighten him out for you? Or
oh no, he's a chill guy. He's always going to Tom's storefront. He went to a book signing.
Yeah, which is in Encinitas. That's in Encinitas.
He went to a book signing there, and then he had made he had written on the back of his shirt Blink-155, like our Twitter handle or something, Blink-155 pod, and then he posed for a photo with Tom pointing at our Twitter, and then that photo we made into our T-shirt. So he's sort of been this meta character on the podcast. He also bought Travis Barker's car in an auction, so I think he has some disposable income.
Wow.
Yeah. But if you ever, I don't know, keep an eye out for Bill Billingsley. I think you guys are going to bump into each other one day. And
I'm sure. I mean, it sounds like he's a guy that probably goes to record stores and Maybe goes to shows here and there. God, you know what? I mean, he's one of those dudes I probably know and just don't want to still. You know what I mean? Or whatever. So,
Totally.
That's funny. I will keep my eyes out. I'll totally creep on the dude on Facebook, see what he looks like.
Then
if I see him somewhere, I'll go, hey, man, that Josiah from the 155 podcast told me to tell you better chill out, dude. Like, making him kind of nervous. So
Exactly. He's always showing off his buff. He's always sending me photos of him shirtless because he's really proud of his muscles, which like they're very nice. But it's like in the middle of the night, I'm chilling with my wife, and Bill's sending me all these like half nudes. I'm like, come on, Bill.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll avoid Bill Billingsley. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like he's the kind of guy who you won't find him, but he'll find you. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. All right.
So is some.
If he listens to that, say, "What's up, Bill?" I'll see you around somewhere. Probably.
Yeah, maybe you'll run into him at Sombrero.
There you go. I don't go to Sombrero. I don't think Sombrero is even a chain anymore. I think it changed. I think it changed to oh God, it's got a new name. It does have a new name, I think.
There is at least one Sombrero because they have like pictures of Blink behind the glass.
That's in the Scripps Ranch or no. I think I know where you're talking about. Yeah.
So what's like what's your burrito spot?
My burrito spot is Roberto's.
Okay, well,
which is great. It's right down. There's like 5 or 6 of them in San Diego, and they're mostly on the coastal area, like kind of where I live, and that's definitely my go-to spot. So,
damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just ate there tonight, in fact. So yes.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I do really want to dig into this Simple Creatures thing a little bit more. So for people who don't know, Simple Creatures is Mark Hoppus's, quite frankly, awful, even by my standards, new project.
Let me interject just for a minute. It truly, truly is pretty awful. I'm sorry.
It's bad, right?
I would expect a little more from him. What was that band he did for a hot minute that was kind of like a weird ska punk hybrid a little bit?
Well, are you thinking of Transplants?
No, not Transplants. No.
Like Mark did Plus 44, but it wasn't really ska.
That was it, Plus 44.
It was more like it had like almost like a Smashing Pumpkins like angsty feel, and I thought it was really good.
I didn't listen to that too much. I just knew that one song they played on the radio and was like, oh, dude. I mean, like, yeah, it's okay, but then you listen to Simple Creature shit, and it's like, what are you doing, dude? Like,
it sounds to me.
Happened?
To me, it sounds like a midlife crisis for real.
I think there you go. Yeah. Well, look at their pictures. Like, wait a minute. You guys are not 25. You guys are closer to 50 than 25 now. You know that, right?
Yeah. Like, and I don't know if you heard California, the album with Matt Skiba, the new Blink-182 album without Tom.
No, I've heard like 1 or 2 songs.
I
like Skiba. I love Alkaline Trio. I will say that. And I think he does pretty good in Blink, just stating for the record. I mean, I will say that for the record.
Okay. But yeah, I don't know. It just sounds like so slick. Like they're trying really hard to be like a slick radio band, and it's just so bizarre. I feel like at this point, Blink-182 should work with Rick Rubin and do like a stripped down back to basics, like make a Descendants record.
Oh, that's actually a genius idea.
Right?
I think you're onto something there.
I should manage Blink-182, I think.
I'm with you, and if you need a letter of recommendation, I'll heartily write it for you. So, yes.
So Simple Creatures, like, it's Mark Hoppus's new thing with the guy from All Time Low. They've released 2 songs so far. We haven't even talked about them on the podcast yet, but obviously we're going to one day. But not only that, there's one of the songs is called Drug, and they have a logo for it that's sort of this like 1950s cartoon of a pill that's sort of anthropomorphic or whatever, like it's walking around. And and you pointed out on Facebook, which is pretty interesting, that's basically the Tiltwheel logo or mascot.
More or less, yeah.
And so what was your thinking there? Like, tell me sort of how you saw this and what led you to like be like, I'm not just going to be quiet about this. I'm going to speak it out.
Well, okay, so our guitarist Davey, the guitar singer, he is the main Tiltwheel dude, right? He posted something on the Tiltwheel page that was just a picture of that pill, that Simple Creatures logo, and I saw it and I go, whoa, like crazy, And it stuck in my head and kind of brewed around for a while, and then one night I took the 2 pictures, combined them, put them side by side, and go, holy shit, like this is like, this is really kind of too close for comfort, you know? And then posted about it on Facebook, like, more of a sadness, like, man, like, you know, of all the things for you to do, why did you have to take our little dude and use him for your own gain? That was kind of my thought, is like, you know, he's going to sell 1 million T-shirts, maybe. I don't know. The band might totally flop and not ever do anything. Who knows? But that was kind of my first thought, is like, you know, how you're going to come to the world with this picture that's so close to our logo, make a ton of money off of it, and like, fuck Tiltwheel. That was my thought, you know? And it's like, dude, at least acknowledge the fact that it looks close, and I think we'd be fine with it. You know, at least come to us and say, hey, like, you know, people, after I posted that on Facebook, one of my friends said, make it public so I can share it. And I did. And it kind of blew up a little bit, you know, for a few days or whatever. It got, a lot of people were seeing it, then obviously just my circle of friends or whatever. And people were tagging him, Mark Hoppus, on Twitter, and they were like, you know, tagging the artist, all this stuff, saying like, hey, look at this Tiltwheel thing and good job stealing it or whatever. No acknowledgement from anybody in their camp whatsoever. And to me, excuse me, I would say, if say Mark would just like send me or Davey or somebody a message, like saying, hey, look, you know, yeah, you're right. It is really close. I always love that logo. I always love that picture. You know, I know maybe it looks like I'm stealing it, but I just really liked it. Are you cool if we use it? We would say, oh, fuck yeah, go for it, dude. Go for it. But if you do make $1 million off of it, at least buy us a new band or something like that. You know, help us out a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I feel worse, honestly, the artist who did that, who drew that logo for us, he has that image is copyrighted. In his name, he copyrighted in 1997 after our first record came out. And he's kind of, you know, a little bit, he's kind of out for blood. He's pissed about it.
Really?
He really feels like it was a just blatant, straight up theft, considering the history that Blink had with Tiltwheel. And Mark obviously knew that logo existed and knew that it was ours. And to come, you know, but here's the thing. I mean, and this is where really rational thought has to come into play, is, did Mark tell the artist, I want you to do a dancing pill for me for our thing, you know? Or did he go, no, you know, did the people at the label hire an artist and say, come up with something that represents like a drug, and that's what the guy drew? And who knows if that guy ever even saw the Tiltwheel pill? I mean, let's face it. I mean, we're not like world renowned, you know, our title's not the world renowned Tiltwheel. It's just the Tiltwheel. Anyways, I don't know how it all happened. I have no idea how it all came together. So at this point, I'm still pretty disappointed and sad about it a little bit, but I'm also like, God, who knows how that happened? Like, we have no idea the chain of events that led up to it. It could be a complete fluke. Who knows? Because it's a song called Drug, and it's got dancing pills in it, and it's a cartoony looking thing. It's not exact, but it's really close, right? So
yeah, it's kind of
a lot of gray area there, man. You know, that now I'm just kind of like, well, you know, I'm honestly kind of at a point where I'm like, oh, whatever, who cares? It's not going to change the way that we do things. It's not going to change our band for the worse. So who really cares, to be honest with you, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, though, because I think you raised some really good points. Like, normally I would say, just as someone who pays attention to so many different parts of pop culture and like paying attention to comedy or looking at even Twitter, people will tweet the same joke by accident as someone else just because of parallel thought. And you're like, well, maybe they're just trying to do like the let's all go to the lobby dancing with drugs. But the fact that it's Mark Hoppus.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Like the hot dog pizza dance.
Yeah. But then the fact that it's like there's been all these parallel connections between your two acts. But I do think even listening to the music, you're like, oh, Mark Hoppus spent like 15 minutes on this song. So maybe.
Oh, so right.
So then you're like, yeah, it's kind of this weird, bizarre gray area. But what I think is really interesting about it is that like Mark Hoppus is trying to exist in the current world of like Hot Topic, alternative press, sort of like post emo punk, whatever that means. But he's also from this scene that he kind of has somewhat rejected. And so it's interesting that like his past is coming back to him now. And at least, just shout out your old friends. Why not?
Right. At least a tiny bit of acknowledgement. And I don't even want to say that in a way to where it's like acknowledgement for our gain as much as it's just like, hey, just own it a little bit. You know, if it is in fact like a form of plagiarism, even if it is a respectful plagiarism, just own it a little bit. Don't completely ignore, the voices crying out to you saying, hey, dude, wait a minute. Oh, hold on. That's not really your logo, or whatever. At this point, that's all I'd like to see. And I think that would be the right thing to do on his part, at least,
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I think you touched on it pretty well, is like, dude's out of touch. I mean, when was the last time he played a show in a bar to 10 or 20 people? Goddamn, probably 30 years, well, not 30 years ago, but probably 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's, as much as you hate to think bad things about anybody, is dude's kind of up in the clouds, a rock star-ish kind of thing, doesn't really see what's going on with the little people that he left behind, or however you want to say it, So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's also just funny too, because it seems like what you described about the Does My Breath Smell riff, or the allegations of the Damn It riff or whatever, all that stuff, you're like, yeah, but Tom's chill, and like he was really cool to me, so it's fine. I don't like he clearly was paying respects, whereas in this case you're like, this dude like is acting like he completely forgot us.
More or less. I think so. I mean, and if they had used that logo, 20 years ago when we were still buddies or whatever, then cool, more power to them, as long as it was like acknowledged, there wouldn't have been any issues whatsoever. But yeah, don't come at it. It just seems kind of sneaky to me, I guess, is kind of what it boils down to,
Right.
Kind of underhanded and sneaky. So
yeah.
But there again, like I said, I don't know I have no idea what his motivations were behind it, or exactly how it came about. So I guess we'll see, if he ever acknowledges or not. So, I mean, I can say, there's nothing coming from us as far as a lawsuit or anything like that goes. Nothing planned for sure, and that's just not who we are, So
it's like the classic thing: you're not mad, you're just disappointed.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a very parental thing to say, but yeah, you kind of nailed it on the head. So you are getting older. I mean, even though you listen to all this pop-up, you are growing up. So,
exactly.
Okay? That's
what's cool though, when I look at Battle Hymns for the Recluse Youth, that the album cover, which most prominently features the pill guy, it's like, you look at album covers from the mid-'90s and they do not age as well as this one. Like, it's kind of cool that, best case scenario, some design intern at some major label accidentally ripped off your logo, but it looks the same. Like, that's actually pretty sick that you guys released an album cover that looks this good still.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, that's great. And that artist that did it had been, and we've been out of touch for the last few years, but we were in Boy Scouts together. We went through high school together. We were best friends for years and years. And he is, to me, like my favorite artist of all time. His name's, he goes by Carson. He's done a lot of, like, he was a pretty prominent tattoo guy, like around Southern California for years. Really look at some of his stuff, like, just look up like Reverend Carson or Pill Cult online, and you can see some of his stuff, and it's mind-blowing. I think that's why that record cover sticks out, is because that artist, to me, is just, he's tops, man. He's such a talented guy, So
yeah.
Plus it's kind of like that classic kind of like I love how you said let's go to the lobby or whatever, because that kind of classic, like maybe 50s-ish cartoony kind of style that really stands out to me, as
totally.
some of the greatest stuff of all time, I think, art-wise anyways.
It did
really
seem, I always thought that, like, especially 90s pop punk seemed like it was really playing with 1950s imagery. And similarly, like, I guess alternative cartoons back then were like that too.
Yeah. Like Ren and Stimpy was, kind of, he paid, like, what John Crickapolucci or whatever was kind of paying homage to, like, the older kind of like 50s, a little retro style in a way. And then, well, look at like the band Teen Idols. I mean, for God's sakes, they're all dressed up like Arthur goddamn Fonzarelli, So,
totally.
There's a lot. I think there's a lot of the kind of doo-woppy, rock and roll-y kind of themes in pop punk too. A little bit. It's just real like teenage kicks, however you want to say it.
For sure.
Instead of going to the malt shop or whatever, like the kids did then. Now they're going to see their buddy's little pop punk band play or whatever. So
right.
Something like that, I guess. I don't know.
I feel like I missed it, or maybe we didn't talk about it. But so just closing, like, so when was the last time you like talked to the Blink guys, and did you have like a bad falling out, or did they just kind of got too big and busy?
Really, I think just too big and busy. I mean, the last time I talked to Tom was probably either 1998 or 99. It was in between Dude Ranch and what is Enema of the State? Was that the record that came out after that?
Yeah.
I called him one night like, hey, I just want to let you know we're playing like at this show. If you want to cruise out or whatever, come out and hang out or whatever. And he goes, oh, hey man, sorry, I'm kind of busy. I'm tracking some guitar right now. I'll give you a call sometime. And that was like the very last time I talked to him. So.
Oh, damn.
But before that, I had seen Jen, like we played at a party in this beach town on 4th of July down here. And his girlfriend at the time, Jen, like came to see us and was like, oh, I heard you guys were playing. I came to hang out, or whatever. And we hung out for a while and then she took off. And I guess he was on tour at the time or something like that. So, but yeah, that was kind of, those two events were pretty close together. And I don't think there's any connection to it or anything like, hey, my girlfriend was like hanging out with you, when I wasn't around. I'm just saying, it's just kind of weird. I saw her and then like a month or so later, I called him to say, hey, we're playing, and he like completely ignored me from there. So I don't know. I don't think there's any bad blood that I know of involved. I just think they just got too busy maybe and kind of moved on from their old friends a little bit, and that's about it, I guess. So.
And now he's like searching for aliens, so I don't know. You're gonna have to buy some stock in his alien company if you want to hang out with him.
It's so fun. And that store, like I said, is literally like 2 miles away from where I live. My wife has been near it, and she's like, oh man, like I almost went in there, but I just couldn't quite do it. I'm like, I don't think I would go in there to see, and it'd be really weird if I saw him and like he probably wouldn't recognize me or something. Who knows,
You should do yourself a favor. I tell this to everyone, and watch the To the Stars Academy like stockholder announcement thing on YouTube. It's so bizarre and funny, and you're just like, maybe I actually believe that he is going to contact aliens. I don't know. It's like
I don't know. I've heard some gnarly stuff like the CIA has files on him and all kinds of crap or something. I have no idea.
Dude,
though,
Tom DeLonge was mentioned in WikiLeaks. Like that.
Right. That was it. That was it. Yeah, they mentioned it, and it's like, oh, you're kidding me. Like this kid from this pop-up band in Poway is like, he's up there with Julian Assange now, I guess. I don't know. That's interesting, huh? Maybe he does, man. Maybe he knows something we all don't know. But he didn't know enough not to make a truly horrible record with Angels in the Airwaves. That's all I got to say. I mean, I'm sorry. Apologies to Josiah for that.
Oh, no, it's fine. That's fair. Okay, so finally, like, what do you do now anyways? Like, what's your job?
Oh, I manage a truck and auto repair shop.
Oh, cool.
So that's it. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's decent money, and I get, I don't know. It's okay. It's a job, so.
It's pretty pop punk. You probably wear Dickies while you work.
Exactly. Yes, I do, in fact. Thank you. Yeah.
Cool. And then just finally, is there anything that you want to plug or like anything people should check out? I guess, obviously, Tiltwheel.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. Yeah, check it out. We started a new I can't even talk. Started a new YouTube channel, trying to compile all the videos that I can get my hands on it and whatever. Yeah, that's it. I mean, check out bands that you love. That's all I care about. You don't have to check out mine. Just keep checking out music and having a good time. I think that's the most important thing in the world. So,
hell yeah.
Ray and